Welcome on in, race fans, to race number 13 and the final regular season race of the Trinity Racing League schedule out here tonight from Talladega Superspeedway, the largest track on the NASCAR circuit. Tonight, we're going to determine the 16 championship eligible drivers to make a run for the championship here in the upcoming weeks of the Trinity Racing League. The difficult part about Talladega is that one mistake by yourself or one mistake by one of your competitors could put both your championship hopes and your night up in smoke out here tonight at the 2.66 mile Superspeedway here at Talladega. As usual on a Monday night, I'm joined by my friend and my co-host up here tonight. Good evening, Chris Rose.
How you doing out here tonight, Tom? This is going to be a real fun one out here tonight. It's going to be real exciting, especially because it's their final race. Everybody's going to be fighting for the points, like I say every week, but it's going to be real important tonight.
Absolutely, it certainly will. Drivers making their final minutes of practice out here. It looks like we're going to have about 28 cars currently in Talladega Superspeedway and get set to go qualifying out here in just a minute or two. Let's take a look at the points coming into tonight, courtesy of our friends over here at the Trinity Racing League. They were kind enough to provide the standings out here. Ryan Kelly comes in here tonight with the points lead. Jarrett Talmadge second, Thomas Green, Ali Fonseca the top four. The top five rounded out by Chris Stitz, and then the bottom half of the top five. All these drivers are mathematically eligible or mathematically locked into the playoffs. None of these drivers can be pointed out after tonight, so all the way down to Christopher Norris. And then Chris, I think if we take a look at the other half of that, we take a look at the 11th through 20th line, that's where it starts to get really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Josh the Ball up there in 11th, then Cedric in 12th, Josh Granada in 13th, Clint Cox in 14th, and Noah Steele in 15th. They're all going to be fighting hard for some points. They're still above the cut line though, so you got drivers like Larry Yingling, Aaron Kralik. They're going to be fighting hard just to be able to get above that cut line and make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, not shown in this picture. Top 25, it's winning in for top 25 here for the Trinity Racing League. Chris Stamper just outside of this graphic. He's 21st coming into tonight. Isaac Shelley, Ryan Bird. Who else is up there? Stephen Clapp and Dakota Moniz, the top 25 drivers, all looking to punch their way to the playoffs here beginning next week on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. And Chris, the journey for these drivers here tonight is easy. Get the checkered flag.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's at some points of this race, it definitely feels like a Sunday drive, but really it's about being patient, just keeping the car clean and staying out of trouble, honestly, because once you're in trouble here, that's the biggest downfall of any driver here. If you get caught up in trouble, it's almost like a race over here at Talladega.
Well, it absolutely could be, and we're going to see how these drivers roll off here tonight as qualifying has begun out here, and rolling off one of the first cars to roll off pit road is going to be Thomas Walter in the number 57. See where Thomas is able to roll off out here tonight. Other cars already out on track. We got Ben Kinney out on track, Scott Richter, the runner-up to the in-season tournament last week that concluded at Dover. Chris Stamper out on track, as is our grid sponsor, Dakota Moniz. Two laps around this large 2.66 mile Superspeedway that these drivers going to have their way to work around here. And the first time by, I would imagine we're going to see drivers using the very top shelf of the speedway try to gain as much RPM, as much momentum, make this track as long as they can possibly make it here on the opening lap.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to definitely just be able to build a lot of momentum for these cars coming off of turning four. It's always good to do it on the start of your qualifying lap, especially here at the bigger tracks like Talladega, where the smallest amounts of time matter. So you're going to see a lot of drivers do it.
Thomas Walter comes across the start-finish line. He's going to see the green flag, and we're going to wait to see where he lines up out here tonight as the majority of the field rolling out on the track right now. Chris, you and I are familiar with the updates to the iRacing draft package that the NASCAR O'Reilly cars have received here recently, and you and I have raced together at Talladega recently, and recently they made some updates to the cars where you need to be very, very intentional about how you bump draft the car in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I was on the bad end of that here at Talladega the other week. I absolutely caused some issues with that. I was trying to give a helpful helpful push to the person in front, and it just was just not square. And you just got to really, really, really just be careful about where you're bumping them and making sure you're square so you don't cause issues for the whole pack.
Thomas Walter going to come across the start-finish line, put his first time on the board, as do other drivers, and goes all the way down to the yellow line here for lap number 2. Drivers given 2 laps here. But going back to the bump drafting, Chris, yeah, that was something that caught a lot of cars off guard a couple of weeks ago when you and I raced here together. It was kind of, it kind of almost brought you back to what it felt like to drive the old ARCA cars, where if you made any sort of contact with the car in front of you, it got them directly out of shape, and you had to be very, very careful. But you also, as the lead car, you also had some culpability in trying to make sure that you were holding your own line there too.
Yeah, I definitely made that same comparison in my mind to that I guess now Legacy Gen 4 car. Or sorry, yeah, it is Gen 4 car, the Legacy. I definitely used to, like, when I first started driving on iRacing, I used to try to bump draft in that car, and oh my god, the amount of wrecks that I caused because it just lifts the rear tires up, and it's so similar now. It's honestly uncanny.
As time starts to come across the board, Scott Rickard is the fastest. 2 laps down for driver the 05 Dakota Moniz, not too far behind Thomas Walter. We were following along for his 2 qualifying laps. Currently sits third with Larry Yingling in fourth. Cedric Hunter rounds out the top 5. As they sit right now, we're following the driver, the number 38 Ford Mustang. That's going to be Christopher Norris around this track here for his 2nd lap in qualifying.
To run right on that yellow line to get the best time he can for his lap here. See what he ends up running. Ends up being a 53.8, and that's good for second place. 53.7, sorry about that. And that's good for second place, and that's a good showing for the 86 car.
Christopher Norris completed both of his time laps out here, and currently sits 17th and continues to fall down the speed charts. Top 3 right now, still Scott Rickard, Mike Miller, Ryan Bird as they run right now. Nolan Hicks has made his way up into the top 5, and Dakota Moniz still hangs on to a top 5 spot. We're following around driver number 29 here. He is currently working his 2nd lap out here. Don't see a time on the board here for the 29 just yet. So I wonder maybe if he had a little bit of a brush with the wall on his first lap, and he's actually going to bring it down pit road. He's not going to post a qualifying time here.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the wrong car there. That was Nolan Hicks up there with the 53.75, and still going good showing for that 86 car.
5 minutes down, and that is going to be our full qualifying order out here tonight. And we're going to get the cars out here for a quick 5-minute warm-up, and then we're going to get these cars rolling off of pit road. And well, I tell you what, Chris, I was talking with some of the drivers out here tonight. I was talking with Cedric Hunter and Josh Kanata earlier tonight, and he said we had to move. He said we had to move. We had to move Cody Reed one way or the other, whether he got the pole or whether he didn't get the pole. I guess Cody Reed has been putting up some fighting words about getting the pole here tonight at Talladega.
Yeah, I second, unfortunately. Still pretty happy with it though.
Yeah, I mean, you got a pretty decent starting spot out here tonight. 100 laps though is a long way around here. How are you going to break up this race with no scheduled stages, Cody?
I'll just see how it goes. I mean, I'm only working with a couple teammates here. So really, whenever the pit cycle comes, we're just gonna try to go with the biggest pack. You know, there are a few guys in here that really know what they're doing when it comes to pit cycles, so we're gonna try to stick with them. But you know, who knows how this race is gonna go? It could be a complete wreck fest, and we might not even have green flag pit stops. I'm sure we will. But still, I mean, who knows how it's gonna go? we're really just gonna rely on when the cautions fall, if they do, and like when the bigger pack pits.
Well, you're also racing for a playoff spot out here tonight. Tonight you come in 19th in the points, and you're just gonna be about, it looks like 12 points out of that cut line coming into tonight. Going for the win, or are we just gonna try to get a good points night in comparison to drivers you're battling like Garcia and Yingling?
Yeah. Again, it's just gonna depend on how the race goes. I'll be paying attention to those guys where they're out on track. And like obviously if there's anybody behind me in points that's contending for the win, because I mean if somebody behind me in points wins it, it's basically pointless to go for points. But I mean I'm definitely gonna try to pick up points. I was really hoping to get the pole here, missed out by 0.02 of a second. I was hoping to get that bonus point, but missed out on that unfortunately. Gonna try to. I think we have a fastest lap point, if I'm not mistaken. I might try to lag back at some point in the race and try to get that. I'm not sure yet. But obviously, I mean, I'm gonna go for the win, regardless. I mean, I'm still gonna try to go for a good points day, but I definitely want to be up front as much as possible.
All right, well, 100 laps between now and the finish of the race going to determine whether or not you find your way into the playoffs. Maybe get to chat with you after tonight's race, Cody. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, and that's one of the drivers. That's going to be Cody Reed, who I'm trying to move back up, but there we go. That's good enough. We stuck Cody up there into the wrong room. He found his way back up to his friends here. Couple of minutes remaining out in the warm-up here, Chris, and you talk about drivers kind of just saying they're going to play this race by ear depending on how it looks the first 30, 40, 50 laps, and then figure out where you're at in the end.
Yeah, honestly, it's a good strategy to. Wow, sorry, but it's honestly a good strategy to where just you play the race kind of safe and see how everybody's driving, and then and honestly just go from there and drive it from there. That's really the best way to go about it. Just go about it lap at a time and really keep the car clean, like I was saying before.
Last week's winner, Thomas Green, did not take a time in the warm-up session out here tonight. We'll see where Thomas Green is rolling off out here this evening, as drivers have just under a minute out here at Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to be with you all the way through the playoffs here. We're going to be deciding a champion at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in just a couple of weeks' time on May 18th here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Chris, I don't know if this is a fair question to ask of you or not here, especially at Talladega, but got anybody you like here to go to victory lane tonight?
I'm not really sure here tonight. It's kind of like all the time at Talladega, it's kind of like a dice roll. So it's hard for me to even say I've got like a favorite or somebody I'm rooting for. You know, like I'm still waiting to see Josh Staval up there in the front of the pack, because he's been doing good, but I want to see him higher, and I want to see that one car go higher. So maybe we might see him up front, but like I said, it's a dice roll, so it's hard to say.
It really is. I tell you what, Chris, my pick for drivers out here tonight is gonna be none other than the 24 of Ali Fonseca. Ali Fonseca sporting the Larry Yards Productions livery on the front end of that car for the Larry Yards Productions 260 here at Talladega, the title sponsor of the Trinity Racing League. And Chris, it is about time we get set to go racing out here tonight. The field is lined up down here on pit road. Let's make our way to the starting grid. Starting grid out here this evening, going to be led by Scott Richter in the 05. Cody Reed, we just spoke to him in the pre-race show here, starting on the outside front row. Mike Miller in the 99 rolls off from position number 3 out here tonight. Ryan Bird in the 49 is good enough for row number 2, position number 4. Nolan Hicks in the top 5. Ali Fonseca, that's my pick out here tonight. Don't let me down, Ali. 24 rolls off from position number 6. Dakota Moniz rolls off from 7th. Christopher Norris rolls off in 8th, with the top 10 rounded out by Thomas Walter and Joshua Kanata.
Then you got Justin Campbell in 11th, and Stephen Clapp in that 9 machine in 12th. Aaron Kralik in 13th. Larry Yingling in the 6-7 machine in 14th. Cedric Hunter in that bright pink Hello Kitty machine in the 15th position. Jesse Thornock in 16th. Josh Duvall, my pick, who's in 17th. Mark Labertone in 18th. Chris Stamper in 19th. And Clint Cox in 20th.
Our field of 27 drivers out here this evening gonna be led off the field by Joshua Sawyer. Rolls off 21st out here tonight, within a tenth of a second of the pole sitter out here tonight. That's how many cars. That's just how competitive this field is going to be. Sam Garcia rolls off from position number 22 out here tonight. Ben Kinney rolls off 23rd. Last week's winner, Thomas Green, got the win at the Dover Motor Speedway. Can he do it here tonight at the Talladega Superspeedway? 100 laps before we find out that answer. Noah Steele rolls off 25th out here this evening. Brandon Gass in the 29, and then Chris Stitz rolls off 27. As we always do, Chris, want to give a shout out to the grid sponsor out here, and that is going to be Blazing Fast TV. If you're looking for a chill and relax stream, head on over to Blazing Fast TV on Twitch and YouTube. Check out the live point of view of Dakota Moniz as he races. Drop a follow and subscribe to stay up to date when he goes live and post content every week here from the Trinity Racing League. And the cars are rolling here. Everybody has grabbed a gear, and we are getting set to go racing. Cars begin to make their way off of the starting lineup out here this evening. Going to be led to the green flag for the first time by Scott Richter on the inside front row and Cody Reed on the outside of row number 1. 100 laps out here tonight. Couple of bonus points await for some of these drivers, and we'll take one more look at the bubble line coming into tonight's race. Top 16 going to find their way to be championship eligible, but a win gets you in. All right, Chris, 27 drivers getting set to do battle out here tonight, maybe 28 with one late entry after qualifying, but we come down here, no stages, and I think we've all seen how the cautions can fly here, or maybe even the lack of cautions can fly here at Talladega Superspeedway. You almost need to stay with this lead pack, especially being that there's no stages here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It can either there's a ton of cautions or there's no cautions. So especially with having no stages, you got to be real precise with your pit window and just make sure you get it perfect and really don't mess it up. That's really what it is. Don't mess it up.
Absolutely do need to stay with the pack and stay consistent out here tonight. One pace lap, that's what these drivers are going to be doing here. We expect the pace car to make that hard left-hand turn down pit road, and yes, he's going to do that. We're going to bring our way to the start-finish line for the first time out here tonight and bring us to the green flag. Scott Richter, Cody Reed going to be bringing us to the start of tonight's race.
Here they go. Here's that green flag as they enter the United Rentals starting position. Here they go. Scott Richter has a great start, about even with Cody Reed actually, but they seem to keep it pretty even into the turn 1.
2 by 2 by 2 by 2 the entire way through the field. 28 drivers strong. That's how you see it. See a couple of drivers. Josh Canada has already made his way up to the top shelf of the speedway. He's decided he wants to go back just a little bit here in the opening laps. Cody Reed on the outside getting a push from the 49 and Ryan Bird on the outside lane. Put Ali Fonseca helping that outside lane on row number 2. Cody Reed's going to take the lead on the entrance of turn number 3, and he's going to drop ship down into the front of the 05 on the entrance of 3.
Yeah, and that's going to help that inside line get a little bit of more momentum coming out of 3 and 4. As you see another car from the inside jump up to the outside to counter my statement, they're going to probably about be even coming to the start-finish here.
Rickard on the outside trying to get a bonus point to lead lap number 1, and he's going to be able to do that, give a bonus point to Scott Rickard here on lap number 1 of the Larry Arts Productions 260. Couple of bonus points up for grabs out here tonight. Fastest lap award, a bonus point pole award, and also that halfway lap led bonus point going to go to some of these drivers out here this evening, and points are as special as they have ever been. Pushes from the 49 into the 05, a little bit sideways on the backstretch, but they keep it going straight.
Got to be careful with them pushes. Everybody's getting really sideways after after getting touched a little bit. So you just got to be careful, and I think a lot of drivers are going to figure that out pretty early.
Ali Fonseca takes advantage of a little bit of a bobble on the backstretch there by Scott Richter and Ryan Bird. Ali Fonseca running the outside lane, getting a pretty good solid push from the 38 of Christopher Norris. These drivers already up a handful of positions from their starting spot out here tonight. And taking a look back at this field, you can see mostly 2 wide, but you do see some 3 wide back there towards the tail.
Yeah, just a little bit of 3 wide action back there, and you got to wonder if that's gonna either make that top line go super fast with all the air that they're gonna grab, or it's gonna slow them down behind. But it looks like the top train is moving real hard now.
Yeah, they really are. You saw a little bit of a bump there from the 38 into the back of the 24 of Fonseca as they snake their way down the backstretch. Everybody staying within this lead pack out here this evening, thinking we're probably going to see somewhere along the lines of about 40 laps on fuel, give or take. That's probably going to be the number that these drivers looking for on fuel. Lap led for Ali Fonseca out here tonight as Dakota Moniz, our grid sponsor. Dakota Moniz has made his way up to 3rd.
A lot of these drivers are settling out in these positions now, just looking to keep it relatively patient for these first few laps. So just to get a little bit of track position, maybe if there's an opportunity, but mostly just keeping it clean behind each other drivers and settling in and getting it comfortable with the race ahead.
One thing that I'm seeing here, Chris, is that Ali Fonseca, Christopher Norris, Dakota Moniz, Stephen Clapp, and possibly even Larry Yingling there. These drivers have been able to clear the inside lane there. Clapp now vacates that top lane, and he's going to drop down to the inside. But the leaders here, the top 3, top 4, maybe top 5, clear the inside lane, but they're electing to stay out here on the middle lane.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a little bit more speed in that middle lane coming off the corner, just that little bit more being able to get a little bit more momentum. And it's kind of looking like it, but the inside line is kind of formed up now. They're probably going to have a lot of momentum.
Probably allows a little bit more room for mistake, maybe creates a little bit less checkup as we have a yellow flag out here. Looks like Noah Steele, Josh Stovall going to be involved in this one. But to finish that thought, we'll take a look at this replay, but probably less room for checkups there, as we know that those are always issues here at the super speedways of Daytona and Talladega, now even Echo Park Speedway. Noah Steele slow on the exit of turn number 2. We'll grab a look here with Noah Steele and find out what happens to driver 3. Looks like Josh Sawyer on the outside lane there may have grabbed the outside retaining wall and found his way down in front of the cars on the inside line there. Let's take another look here. This time let's go up here on the blimp and try to get a better look exactly what happens here. Josh Sawyer gets a push here. It looks like it's going to be, is that Sam Garcia on the outside lane, and the 19 just going to come across 2 lanes there, going to come across the one of Josh Stovall, going to grab Brandon Gass there as well, and Noah Steele. All drivers getting collected in this most recent incident.
Yeah, some of these drivers just nowhere to go, unfortunately. With the car coming down the track after smoking the wall, I mean, there's just nothing you could do, unfortunately. And you see, it's kind of, honestly, Josh did not end up with too bad of a hit as I thought he did, but you know, some of these drivers, honestly, probably Josh got the worst end of it, and unfortunately, there was nothing. He didn't really have anything to do with it.
Let's take a ride on board here. We're gonna have to be quick about this. Let's take a ride on board here with the I want to say the 50 of Sam Garcia. This is going to be exiting turn number 2. A little bit of contact between the 50 and the 19, and some of these drivers going to continue on. Other drivers going to continue on with damage.
Yeah, it looked like Sam Garcia probably thought that he was going to be square with the car in front, but a little bit of squirreliness, just unfortunate miscommunication turned into a relatively decent sized wreck.
Couple of cars making their way onto pit road out here early in the going, 5 laps down. In the books, rather, I should say. Scott Richter, Cody Reed, Mike Miller, Aaron Krolick, Nolan Hicks. Pretty much the entire everybody outside the top 11 making their way onto pit road here in the opening laps. Driver's going to come down. Would imagine probably just for fuel here. Don't imagine tires going to be too much of a concern as drivers race their way off pit road. Scott Richter going to be one of the first cars to roll off a pit road. Cody Reed, Mike Miller, and Aaron Kralik follow suit.
Yeah, we're probably going to see a lot of that here tonight with the pit stops just under green, just for fuel. Because, like you said, tires aren't really an issue here at Talladega and until like around later in the race, until the tires are slightly worn. But most of these drivers are just going to be coming in for fuel just to be able to make their runs as long as possible, since there's no stage cautions here.
Yeah, and you just hit on exactly the spot that I was going to hit. Without the stage cautions out here tonight, you don't know when your next opportunity to come down for pit service or for fuel will be if you're one of the race leaders. So drivers just outside the top 10, 12th place on back from Rickard all the way down to Chris Stitz, make their way onto pit road for the first time for service out here this evening. We expect the lights to go out this time by. Expect to see the 1 lap to go signal on top that iRacing.com pace car this time once we get to the start finish line. And then the field's going to double it up. And Chris, it's been a rule that has been in place all season long, but we haven't really talked about it too much. Something that this league does here, unlike many other leagues that I'm familiar with on the iRacing service, they've implemented the choose rule here. And here, it may be a little bit bigger of a deal because you've got that outside lane to make it 3 wide into turn 1 if you elect to take the outside.
Yeah, you got to be real careful with sending it 3 wide before the start finish, especially with where the start finish is located past the normal spot of it being in a trioval. It's a little bit past the trioval, so you got to be patient before you want to make any moves, especially with turn 1 coming up super fast after that. You really want to be patient.
See the majority of the field choosing their lineup order out here as they make their way down into turns 1 and 2. The 31 degrees of banking, unforgiving to everybody out here this evening as we wait to get the green flag back out for the second time this evening. We're glad you're with us here on another Monday night from the Trinity Racing League for race number 13, the final regular season race of the Trinity Racing League. Again, the playoffs going to be set after tonight's event here from Talladega. All right, Chris, I feel like it's a rite of passage at Talladega every time we come here. You run a handful of laps, you get your first quick yellow flag. Does that change any of these drivers' mentality about how they're going to take this next restart here?
I mean, I don't know if it changes the mentality, but it definitely gives them a little bit more comfort, especially for the drivers that came down pit lane. They don't really got to think about when other drivers in front of them are pitting. It's kind of more about who's around them on the same strategy now. So I feel like that's a little easier to think about, especially if you pit with somebody you're around now.
Field's going to make their way off of turn number 4. We'll see if we see a little bit of a calmer mentality from some of these drivers after seeing our first yellow flag of the night. Pace car going to be down onto pit road. Ali Fonseca elected to take the outside lane. He's going to be the control car by the time we get into the restart zone with Dakota Moniz on the inside of row number 1.
Here they go as they hit the loud pedal, and Ali's got a pretty good start. Doesn't seem to have cleared Dakota yet. Oh, he's got around 2 cars on Dakota, actually. That camera was really deceiving, but the front 2 cars have definitely cleared that inside line. We're probably going to see them drop down here after 3 and 4, after 1 and 2, just to get a little bit of a block on the inside line. But not sure, honestly, because Ollie's been elected to take that outside line. He's been running it pretty well.
Pretty good separation in the top 10 right here. The outside lane got going. The inside lane, not so much. The outside lane and the race lead currently being held by the driver in the number 24. That's going to be Fonseca. Christopher Norris in second. And Larry Yingling, one of the bubble drivers coming into tonight's race, currently runs in third. And then from there, it's a crapshoot as the field is 3 wide.
You know, Thomas, it's just really interesting that they're electing to take that middle line here at Talladega. That was just something I wanted to bring up again, because usually we see most drivers just come to the bottom line on the paint just to be able to get the quickest line around. But you gotta wonder if maybe just the momentum difference of the draft package favors like the middle line here.
Well, it could. It certainly could, but it also allows the RPMs in these cars to stay up, right? You're running a little bit wider of a circumference around the track, keeping the RPMs up just a little bit more, and that allows for some bigger runs to come than if you're trying to bog it down on the white line down there in the corners. Top 3 right now is going to be Fonseca, Norris, and Larry Yingling, but they've got challengers coming on the inside lane in the form of Ryan Bird and Stephen Clapp.
The inside lane seemed to have a good run out of 3 and 4 there. They're wanting to close that leading gap right now and just have a sort of a battle here coming into round 2.
Ryan Bird looking to get some help from the driver, the number 9. That's going to be Stephen Clapp. That Chevy Camaro directly behind him. Issues for a couple of drivers towards the back there. Looks like maybe Nolan Hicks went off track there for just a moment. Everybody gathers it up and keeps it going in the right direction there. Nicely done by the entire field to avoid a bigger issue here as we work lap number 11.
Yeah, a lot of drivers here are definitely testing and pushing the limits of the pushes here. Maybe a lot of people not very familiar with how the cars feel now with this new package, but you see a lot of people moving around and getting shunted around, as you saw there with the 7 car and the I believe that's the 57 in front of him. They definitely had a little bit of contact there in 3 and 4, just a little bit of a push there to the 57, got him a little loose, and even the lap before with the trouble with Nolan Hicks, you know, a lot of these cars are just so loose now in the pack.
Yeah, they're very unstable as compared to, say, like the NASCAR Next Gens that a lot of people are familiar with. I mean, those cars, you can slam the car 20 miles an hour faster in front of you in those NASCAR Next Gens and hardly do any sort of damage or get anybody, sideways when you do make contact with them. Here, it's a very different story here in the newly updated O'Reilly cars, as we see a couple of drivers starting to make their way through. Mark Labertone has become one of the biggest movers out here tonight. He's up 10 spots. Thomas Green, last week's winner at Dover, up 18 spots from their qualifying positions.
18 spots is a big jump. That's a great showing from that driver.
Field's going to race around here on the exit of turn number 2, make their way down the Alabama gang super stretch. Fonseca, Norris, Yingling, that's how they run at the front of the field. This is the battle for about the 6th place position as Thomas Green sees that line coming, and he's going to drop down, says, don't mind if I do. He's going to press the down button on the elevator and try to make his way to the front of that inside line and be the first one to contend for the race lead with Fonseca and Norris at the top.
Yeah, honestly, dropping down to that inside line was probably the right idea for Thomas Green, even though it checked him up for a little bit out of 3 and 2, or oh my gosh, 3 and 2 out of 3 and 4. They're probably gonna have a better run here coming out of 2, just because they have more cars down to the inside now.
They've got more cars down to the inside. The top is not as connected as the inside lane here is, but going back to what we were saying a couple of minutes ago, that outside lane allows you to keep the momentum a little bit more than what the inside lane is able to do, and you can see it here visually. They're only able to make their way up to about row number 4 here. That's Cedric Hunter on the outside of Thomas Green. Dakota Moni's given the beans to Thomas Green through turns 3 and 4, and they may have an opportunity to lead a lap here, but they got to be so careful about this because one wrong bump here sends the 3 sideways.
Yeah, one thing I noticed here when we raced here the other week was that the inside line is a lot more important about keeping together like the outside line is now, instead of pushing like a lot of these drivers are, it's way more important just keeping the inside line formed up and keeping the gaps closed just to keep the run going, because once you're starting to push people, it starts to make people check up on the inside, and it just ruins your whole momentum.
And you can see the outside lane has answered the call a little bit. You see Christopher Norris now closer to the back of the number 24 as they see some contact happening down on the inside lane there between the 5 and the 3 of Thomas Green on board here with Dakota Moniz, our grid sponsor out here for Blazing Fast TV. Having a good run out here tonight for Dakota so far. 15 laps into tonight's event.
Almost trouble there in the back. I wonder, I didn't get to see what happened, unfortunately, but we saw a car shoot up to that high line. You got to wonder, maybe they would have been contact with the tire here. And that's definitely where the cars get the loosest under a push.
Oh, it's very possible. It looked like it was Cody Reed, but everybody was able to make their way through. They've got Jesse Thornock, Monkey in the middle as they make their way out of turn number 2. Cody Reed's got help from, I want to say that's Justin Campbell directly behind him. They kind of all look the same when they're going about 188 miles an hour down this backstretch here. Most of the field 2 wide and some of them 3.
Yeah, Dakota's pushing that 3 machine a little bit hard, and you know, honestly, if I was Thomas Green, that's probably what I would do too. Move up to that top line, honestly, after getting pushed the way I was in the bottom. And Dakota's, I don't really think that Dakota thought anything of it or was purposely doing anything of it. It's just the way these cars handle the push now. It's just so hard to handle, and Thomas just seems to be more comfortable at the top line as he counters my statement and drops back down in front of Dakota.
Yeah, Thomas Green saw a little bit of a run coming from Moniz on the inside line. We'll see what Dakota Moniz does. Dakota Moniz says, I got you there. And now we're going to try to work together to the best of our ability to try to put some space in between the 24 of Fonseca and the clean air out front. But the 38 of Norris drops down to the inside line with the 24. Green tries to close the door, and he just barely does it.
You know, this is a great camera angle to see how close that was when Green came down to Ali. It was about, I want to say about an inch and a half between the bumpers, and that just goes to show how close the racing here is at Talladega Superspeedway. They're going, like you said, 188 miles an hour down the back stretch, averaging about, I want to say 185 to the whole track. And it's just close. It's just close the entire time. It's like a parking lot.
It absolutely is. I tell you what, that was a little bit closer than I would have liked if I was one of these drivers out here, but they carry on without issue. Now Larry Engling pushes the 38 up to the race lead, but here comes Cody Reed with help from Aaron Kralik. They work the middle, they shoot up the gap, and now Cody Reed, he's got an opportunity to lead a lap out here this evening, get a bonus point. Aaron Kralik directly behind, not super close on his bumper. The outside lane a little bit more formed up with Norris, Yingling, and Hunter as they run at the start-finish line. Lap number 19 begins right now.
You know, that's the thing about super speedways. You could be anywhere on the track. We saw Cody Reed get caught up in what I thought was a little bit of an incident before, a few laps before. He was, I want to say around 10th or 11th, and he's able to move up here in around 2 laps to be able to get back up to the lead, and just goes to show how much of a dice roll it is here at Talladega. Absolutely.
You take a look at Cody Reed's position coming into tonight's event. Missed the pole bonus award by just 2 1/1000ths of a second. Needs to start to close that gap. He's racing Sam Garcia. Sam Garcia currently back in 18th place for Sam Garcia. He's racing Larry Yingling, who's up there on the outside lane. He's racing Aaron Kralik, the driver who has helped him to the front of the field. Top 16 going to find their way to the playoffs, and a win gets you there.
Probably going to see a lot of help between the 01 and 25, just be able to move through the pack. You know, they're both, like you said, they're fighting for the win to get in to the playoffs, but it's you're going to see a lot of help, but then towards the end of the race, they're probably going to separate here and find other drivers to work with and see if they can get a better position on each other.
Well, it's an interesting position to be in, right? If you're Aaron Kralik, you don't want to push Cody Reed to the race lead, but he just happens to be the car that's in front of you. But that hinders your championship hopes because it takes a bonus point away from you. You kind of have to get up there and get your own lap led to cancel that out. But sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. If that's the car that's in front of you, and if that's the lane that's moving forward at any given time, you sometimes have to make that sacrifice. Looks like another lap led there for the outside lane of Norris.
That middle line just keeps on moving harder than the inside, and like you're saying, and we're seeing, it's just a lot more of those RPMs just being up higher, and the momentum is just showing. I honestly think it has to do with the pushing too. If a lot of the drivers just formed up, I believe would probably make that inside line have a little bit more momentum.
One driver has lost the draft out here. That's going to be the 53 of Chris Stamper. You see him flashing through about 4 seconds back behind Josh Kanata as the field races through here to begin. Lap number 22 of the Larry Yards Productions 260 out here from Talladega Superspeedway. That's a dangerous position to be in here, Chris, because he is now 5 seconds back and falling. He's going to be multiple seconds a lap slower than this pack.
Yeah, and with no stages to group everybody back up, it's a really bad position to be in, especially this early in the race. He's got to find out a way to see if he can get back up together, or maybe hope for a caution, or maybe through a pit cycle somehow. I'm not really sure how we would do it other than waiting for a caution, to be honest.
Well, I can't imagine that we're done with cautions out here tonight. Talladega always seems to find the way to bring up a couple of cautions late in the running here at the Superspeedway, but the challenge and the danger is that he's going to need that caution here probably in the next. I mean, he was 5 seconds a lap ago. He lost 2 seconds that time by. He's now 7 seconds and climbing off of the race lead here. So he's going to need help probably in the next 15 to 20 laps before he goes a lap down. Yeah,
absolutely. Honestly, I think sooner than that, probably within the next 7 to 10, I'd say, because the way these drivers are driving and how fast they're going and how fast he's falling back, I feel like it's going to be a little bit quicker than that, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
At the front of the field, Christopher Norris has been a staple at the front out here tonight. He's going to try to lead another lap out here. Josh Stovall now on the inside, involved in the earlier incident. Stovall on the inside, getting a push from Cody Reed, and Stovall may have led that lap, maybe not. Looks like that one went to driver the number 38, Christopher Norris.
It was really hard to tell off that camera angle. That one camera angle was messing both of us up. But Josh is getting a really good run here on the inside, and like you said, he was caught up in that earlier incident, and maybe I was correct about him not having enough, not enough, but not as much damage as I thought from touching that inside wall. He seems to either got it fixed or it doesn't really be affecting the car here, but he's able to go and take the race lead from him.
He is, and he's able to jump out in front of the 38 of Christopher Norris. Christopher Norris lost a little bit of help through turns 3 and 4 from the 67 Larry Yingling directly behind him. Josh Stovall was able to jump out to the race lead, but not for long. Cody Reed says, "Don't mind if I do." He's going to jump up to the outside. We're going to be 3 wide at the start-finish line. Yingling on the top, Reed in the middle, and Stovall on the bottom. Nobody else in the middle with Cody Reed. This is a bad spot to be in here for driver number 25.
Yeah, we're about to see the driver of the 25 start dropping like a rock here because everyone's gone from the middle line. And honestly, it's kind of smart from the other drivers because once you get more cars in that middle line, the scarier it gets to be around the track, and the closer you get to wrecking. And I'm sure none of these drivers want that to happen right now.
Cody Reed has gone from leading that last lap now down to 13th. On board here with Cedric Hunter as he is in the back half of the top 5 right now, up 10 positions from his qualifying effort. As we continue to run out here tonight, Chris, we think that fuel is somewhere around the margin of about 40 laps or so. Working lap number 25. A couple of these drivers up at the front of the field, specifically your race leader and second place, Larry Yingling, did not come down onto pit road throughout that first yellow flag. So they've got about 7 laps less fuel than some of their competitors.
Yeah, that's a big difference here at Talladega, especially if there's no caution. You're going to see a lot of those drivers who did pit just continue to run the car as long as they can, and really run that fuel dry. So, and that is that. Like I said, that 7 lap difference is a huge difference.
Well, it absolutely is. I mean, you're talking 15 and a half miles, probably a little bit more than that, as the driver's going to make their way around here to begin lap number 27 out here tonight. Christopher Norris has been shown a masterclass of leading the field out here as the field races by, and Christopher Norris going to get another lap led here. Larry Yingling comes in here tonight. He is one of the drivers on the bubble line. Larry Yingling comes in here tonight, 16th on the points line. He is tied with Sam Garcia with 342 points out here tonight, so no margin for error for the driver, the number 67.
He's gonna be looking in his rear view for Sam. Make sure that he's back there, because especially if they're racing for points, he wants to get every point he can and make sure that Sam gets as little points as he does.
Field's going to make their way around the lap vehicle of Joshua Sawyer in the 19. We saw Josh involved in the first and only incident caution out here tonight that Josh Stovall and Nolan Hicks were involved in here back on lap number 5 of 100 out here tonight for the Larry Arts Productions 260 as we approach just past the quarter mark here of tonight's event. New name we haven't said out here this evening, Chris Stitz. Chris Stitz is in the top 10 in points, so a little bit pressure off for driver number 17. He comes in here tonight second in the points, so he can come out here and just have a little bit of fun at one of the most stressful races.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's 2 laps down. I'm not sure if he was caught up in that first incident or not, but he's out here having a lot of fun, just helping that 3 car, seeing if he can lead him up a little further.
Yeah, Chris Stitz is 2 laps down. Unfortunately, not going to be in the position here for the Lucky Dog position. If a caution were to fly right at this very moment, would be recipient of that would be Josh Sawyer, who is only 1 lap down. As we approach lap number 30 here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. I tell you what, Chris, I really like the way that 38 is using that outside line, and I especially like having that red and yellow car directly behind you, and it has been pretty much unwavering with the commitment from the 67 of Yingling to the 38.
Yeah, they seem to have some sort of agreement going on here tonight to where they're just working together, and it doesn't seem like Larry's going to leave that rear end of the 38, so we're probably going to see a lot of help between those two here tonight.
Cedric Hunter also in this lane, as is the 03 of Clint Cox, up 14 positions from their starting spot out here. This is going to get close on the entry to turn number 1, but they're all going to get through without issue. Top side still prevailing once again. Cody Reed unable to do anything on the inside line. He's got Thomas Green trying to do anything on that inside line down there. Try to push that number 25 and try to give the advantage to the inside line. Not going to happen just yet, but now they're going to have a new lead car on the inside line. That's going to be Clint Cox. He drops down in front of the 25 and says, let me grab a push.
Yeah, we might be able to see the inside line form up a little better with, I believe that was 1 or 2 cars that dropped down, and maybe it was the leader's issue, not sure, but we've cycled it around, and the inside line is probably going to have to see if they can figure that one out to get a few more seconds up on the lead.
Driver having a pretty good night out here tonight. Quiet night so far. Don't see any damage on the driver of the number 51. Ben Kinney has had an up and down season here in the Trinity Racing League. He's gone for a couple of rides the wrong way on a Monday night here over the past 12 weeks, but having a solid run for that Ford Mustang out here tonight for Ben Kinney. Just outside playoff eligibility. Comes in here tonight 27th in points and will not be a championship eligible driver, as he will not be able to make his way into the top 25 as he is 50 points out of the 25th position where you need to be in order to be eligible for a win to go to the playoffs. One of the nice things about Talladega and Daytona, Chris, obviously I think a lot of drivers have a love-hate relationship with this style of racing. But it kind of brings the field a little bit closer together. You've got Mike Miller up there. You've got Clint Cox up there. You've got Ben Kinney up there. Sam Garcia. Stephen Clapp showed his hand up there for a little while. Martin Morales Jr. So it kind of brings the field closer together than what we would normally see here on a Monday night at the Trinity Racing League. Beginning lap number 33 here from Talladega. A little bit of smoke. Driver's going to drive through without any sort of issue. We've got to start to think that these drivers may be looking at their fuel mileage here.
It is nearing lap 40.
Yeah, I mean, I don't exactly know the real number here, but just based off of history and memory, I think 40 is probably going to be the upper margin of what they're able to run. So we'll see if these drivers elect to come down. But let's not forget, drivers like Cody Reed, drivers like Thomas Green, Mike Miller, Sam Garcia, Justin Campbell, Scott Richter, and more. All those drivers, they came down underneath the first and only yellow flag out here tonight at Talladega. So they're going to have an extra, call it 5 laps or so.
Yeah, and like we were talking about a little bit earlier, that's going to be a big difference because it's around, like you said, around 30 laps, a little bit under 30 laps of fuel difference. So it's going to be, or not 30 laps, 30 miles. It's going to be a little bit fuel difference, but it's going to be a interesting feat to overcome in these next few laps coming to the pit cycles.
Well, that's if we make it there. A little bit of a bobble up on the outside lane. Larry Yingling had to get up out of the gas there just a little bit. Perhaps temperature's getting a little hot on that Ford Mustang, and that backed it right up into the nose of the Camaro driven by Dakota Moniz there. Almost issues with him in the 24, but they keep it going without issue. But those are the kind of stack-ups, Chris, that cause issues here unexpectedly, and they can happen anywhere on the track.
Yeah, the accordion effect is the worst thing about superspeedways, to be honest. It once the stack up starts, it just continues to feed the momentum to the back of the pack, and it kind of just it's kind of like a skill check for every driver. Kind of it makes sure that everybody's paying attention and ready.
Field races through. Everybody stays 2 by 2 by the time they get down into turn number 3. Driver that we spoke about a couple of laps ago had lost the draft. That was the 53 of Chris Stamper. He is now in danger of going a lap down. He's got a little bit of help from Noah Steele and Brandon Gass. They've got a little bit of a 3-car pack going on their own back there. So a little bit of help there, but he is 32 seconds back, still on the lead lap. But Chris Stamper, Noah Steele, Brandon Gass going to be needing some help here in the second half of tonight's event.
Yeah, they're all going to be hoping for some sort of wreck to happen, just to catch everybody back up and punch everybody back up, give them a chance, and even unfortunately for drivers like Chris Stitz, they're going to have to hope for multiple of those to even have a comeback from being multiple laps down. So it's just a night of hopes for those drivers back there.
I got to be thinking pit stops may be on their way here shortly. For the first time, we've seen Christopher Norris and Larry Yingling drop down to the inside lane. No calls over the radio this time by. Everybody's going to stay out for at least 2.66 more miles of racing here. But that outside lane slowly starting to disintegrate as Clint Cox is up there. He's got help from Mike Miller, but I got to imagine they're looking to get down here in the next couple of laps.
And this is one of the most tense parts about a super speedway race is getting down into the pit line and finding a spot to be able to drop down, because nobody's going to want to let you down. Everybody wants to keep as much time as they can to the pit lane, so nobody's going to let you down.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
It's about finding the spot.
Yeah, absolutely not. And, with as competitive as this field out here is, I think the top, 22, maybe 23 drivers all within a tenth of a second of each other. Nobody's gonna give an inch here as we approach the first green flag pit stop of tonight's event here from Talladega. Dakota Moniz at the front of the field. He's going to get a bonus point for leading a lap. Clint Cox just on the outside of row number 1. Got some help from Mike Miller, and Sam Garcia not too far behind, third car in line here with Scott Rickard in row number 2.
You know, Larry is not happy seeing Sam right beside him in his outside his right window. You know, they're fighting to get as many points as they can to get into the playoffs. So, you know, it's not really what Larry wants to see.
It's not what he wants to see, but it's what they have to deal with for the time being. On board here with Sam Garcia, driver number 50. Started 24th out here tonight for Sam Garcia. Has made his way up to the top 10 as we have a yellow flag out. Yellow flag is out here, and that is the lucky break that some of these drivers were looking for.
Yeah, that's the hopes and dreams for the drivers out there that lost the drive. That's the hopes and dreams coming through. So hopefully they're gonna take their chances here and take the pit stop and bunch everybody up and hopefully be back on the same strategy as everyone.
All right, let's take a look here at I believe Ben Kinney is going to be the driver involved in this. Let's grab a look here with the number 51. He got contact there with the 3 of Thomas Green and a little bit more ancillary contact with the 49 Ryan Bird. We're gonna have to back this up just a smidge and try to get a better look at what just happened there between the 3 of Thomas Green and Ben Kinney. We're coming into this one a little bit early here. We're probably about a lap early on this, but we'll ride on board here with these drivers and find out exactly what happens with the 3 and the 51. Got Thomas Green pushing the 0-1 of Aaron Krolick. Ben Kinney all the way down to the inside lane there. They got Mark Labertone in the 42. Monkey in the middle right there. Still through the tri-oval. Going to be a 3 wide scenario. Oh, it's actually going to be contact with the 42 of Mark Labertone. That's going to be the incident that brings out the yellow flag. The 42 comes down. Well, pardon me. The 42 and the 51 make a little bit of contact. Let's take another look there before we get a better idea of what may have just happened there. Take a ride on board here with the chopper as we wait for most of the field to make their way down to pit road.
It looks like Ben Kinney's car just snapped loose slightly, and he had to catch it. And unfortunately, it came right up into Mark Labertone's nose. At least, which is weird because that's not really a spot where the car like gets loose. So, wondering if maybe it's a result of the tires be running. The car just seemed to snap loose.
Well, I'm thinking that there was contact there between the 42 of Labertone and the 51, which that'll get a car loose. That's for sure. I've had my fair share of getting loose like that, but the field
even before. Sorry to interrupt. Before, it just looked like it snapped slightly loose, but I don't know. I might have seen it wrong.
Field underneath the yellow flag for the second time out here tonight, just short of 40 laps here at the Talladega Superspeedway, and that's a big break for Joshua Sawyer. I do believe Josh Sawyer going to be the recipient of the free pass award. That's a big break for drivers like Noah Steele, Brandon Gass, Martin Morales Jr., and more. Chris Stemper were in danger zone of going a couple of laps down, but they were able to catch that yellow flag in a timely manner. And we are back, and we're set to go for the second half of this race now, Chris.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be just think of it kind of like a reset point. It's gonna be kind of like thinking about like the start of the race again. You know, everybody's gonna be back on the same strategy, about the same. I'd assume about the same amount of fuel. Everybody should have filled up now if they ran the pit stops correctly, but you know, there might be slight differences in the strategy, but relatively the same strategy.
Well, it's mostly the same strategy up and down pit road, with the exception of one car, and that is the driver who inherited the race lead through this yellow flag pit stop here. That's going to be Josh Kanata. Did not come down onto pit road this time. Surely he just missed pit road, and he's going to be coming down this time. I got to imagine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure if he was under pit lane, like in pit lane when the caution happened, but that would be a crazy lucky break if that was the case for Josh. But yeah, he probably just ended up missing pit lane.
Well, he was last on pit road on lap number 6.
Oh, okay. So yeah, see, that was the last time he was on pit road. Then definitely just a missed pit lane, unfortunately.
Well, either that or we need to check the fuel tank in that Toyota Supra driven by Josh Kanata. He's looks like he's going to be coming down onto pit road this time. Yes, he is. He's going to pass the commitment cone and bring that number 16 onto pit road unexpectedly, or as expected, I guess. Cedric Hunter going to get a wave around here as some of these drivers make their way around the field. They've got 2.5 miles of asphalt between them and catching up to the rear of the field. At the front of the field, it's Dakota Moni's Mike Miller here, as we're going to get the green flag here on lap number, we'll call it 42 likely for these drivers. And just over half of the race to go out here this evening. 2 yellow flags per incident out here tonight. The most recent one involving Ben Kinney, Mark Labertone, Thomas Green, quite a little bit of it, and more.
You know, it's interesting to see Ben Kinney still in 10th after that. Well, I guess 11th after that that incident. I thought his car had a little more damage than it did, but I guess we'll see how it goes after this race. But honestly, if I was him, I wouldn't really be upset with that caution.
Take a quick look at the point standings as they come into tonight's race. Ryan Kelly, Jarrett Talmadge, Thomas Green, the top 3 in points. All the way down to 10th place, Christopher Norris. So all these drivers mathematically locked in to the 5 race championship playoffs here that they have in the Trinity Racing League. And this is the line that everybody's keeping an eye on out here tonight. Noah Steele, Clint Cox, Noah Steele, Josh Kanata. 3 drivers tied for, I guess, 15th in points. Sam Garcia and Larry Yingling tied for the cut line. As we get into the restart zone here, Chris, let's hit a crank it up here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. All right, we come back to our 3rd yellow flag of the night issues as we were riding on board with Larry Yingling. Issues for Ryan Bird, Aaron Krolick. Here on lap number 44, Aaron Krolick involved in that most recent incident. We're going to grab a look here, find out exactly what happens. Looks like maybe Brandon Gass, Dakota Moniz, Ryan Bird, and more. Take a look here. Going to happen directly in front of the 67 up there. We're going to have big issues for, is that the 19 of Josh Sawyer? It might be.
It's the 01 and the 5, I believe.
The 01 and the 5. All right, let's start there and see what we can see from here. So, got the 05 of Scott Richter there, and Christopher Norris gonna get super close there. Dakota Moni's gonna get involved in that. Ryan Bird gonna get involved in that. Thomas Green, I think Thomas Green's gonna get through without any sort of damage there.
Yeah, that's a hard lick into the outside wall for the 01. That's probably definitely a night ender for the 01, and you got to wonder maybe for the 5 as well. But that was very, very hard impact for that car.
On board here with the driver, the number 38, that's going to be Christopher Norris. This is kind of where it starts. Everything kind of closes up all at once. Christopher Norris sees an opportunity in the middle. Dakota Moniz sees an opportunity in the middle as well, and well, that's kind of how life happens at Talladega Superspeedway. Some issues for some front runners out here tonight. Ryan Bird on pit road, Dakota Moniz on pit road, Aaron Krolick all on pit road with extensive damage and a meatball flag. iRacing saying you've got too much damage to continue. You've got to sit down here for an extended amount of time to get these cars fixed before we'll let you back out if we do it all.
Yeah, and I feel like as of recent, iRacing has been so strict with the too much damage, you're done as well. Now I feel like it's a lot more realistic now than it used to be. You could crash extremely hard into I mean any wall here on Talladega and still be able to drive away. But I feel like nowadays it's a lot more strict with the damage your car takes.
See the incident happen, and once again, the white number 38 Ford Mustang, Dakota Moniz, comes down slightly. The 38 comes up slightly. The 01 gets a little bit of contact with the left front of Christopher Norris's car there. Ryan Bird, nowhere to go, just absolute wrong place, wrong time. Let's take a look here. I want to see if Thomas Green gets through. We saw Thomas getting pretty close to this incident here. Do think he got through without incident, but we'll find out here on board. Does a really nice job of getting checked up to avoid running into the back of the 67.
And honestly, I think Ryan Bird, obviously other than Aaron Krolick, but I believe Ryan Bird got easily the worst end of that, having nothing to do with it. Just like you said, in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you saw the hood just flew off the car into the catch fence there, and that's one of the indicators of the too much damage, you're done I was talking about. So hopefully that's not the case for Ryan Bird, but we'll end up seeing out here tonight.
Yeah, Ryan Bird, one of the drivers coming into tonight that needed a win in order to advance to the playoffs. Not going to happen out here tonight for driver number 49. Who else is down there on pit road? Dakota Moniz. Dakota also needed a win coming into tonight. Came in here tonight 24th in points. And looks like his opportunity to get a win to advance to the playoffs has been eliminated out here. Aaron Krolick on pit road as well. A little bit of a different story for Aaron. Trying to find Aaron here on my sheet. Aaron was 18th, so he could have pointed in a couple of laps down here for Aaron Krolick. And that may be game over for the 01 and his championship hopes.
Yeah, but one thing I'm noticing is that I'm not sure if Ryan Bird just left the session and it was just a crazy amount of damage, or if iRacing told him to take it to the hauler. And if that's the case, then that's crazy that they didn't tell the 01 as well, because I feel like the 01 got the worst end of that.
At the front of the field, we expect to see the lights go out this time by Clint Cox and Cody Reed going to be on the front row here. Clint Cox going to be taking the outside lane for this next restart. Cody Reed elects to take the inside lane. Ben Kinney, who was involved in an incident not that long ago, makes his way up to third. He was able to get some damage fixed on that number 51 Ford Mustang. Ali Fonseca, that was my pick out here tonight to go to victory lane. We'll see if Ali is able to do it on the outside of row number 2 for this restart. All right, Chris, the field starts to slim down just a little bit. We're going to have 24 of the 28 starters out here tonight, still on the lead lap, but a couple of big wrecks along the way. But kind of surprising that we're still seeing some of these drivers who have been involved in incidents. Take for example, Ben Kinney up there, still being in contention even after their incidents.
Yeah, and I'm honestly just in a really confused state right now, especially with what I was saying about iRacing being more strict, because then you see cars like Ben Kinney who are back out here in third place after their incidents, like you're saying. So it's kind of just, it's a weird gray area with iRacing sometimes, but hopefully it's going to end up being a good race for Ben, as we know he needs some points here tonight, but I don't believe it'll help him because he's outside of the top 25.
Pace car going to make that hard left-hand turn down out here tonight for the third time, and we're going to see the green flag as we have had 3 incident cautions out here for tonight's race. The front row going to be Clint Cox, the control car, on the outside lane. He's got Fonseca in his rear view. On the inside, it's going to be Cody Reed with Ben Kinney. Into the restart zone and past the start-finish line they go. The outside lane, Ali Fonseca gives a big old push to race leader Clint Cox as they race their way down into turns 1 and 2. A little bit of a 2-car breakaway. Yellow flag out once again. Noah Steele, Josh Kanata. Looks like those drivers having an issue here. And a couple of more cars still trying to get where they need to be, but Josh Kanata issues for some of these drivers towards the back of the field on this most recent restart.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's that classic restart stack up that we see where everybody's just trying to go, and it just goes wrong. So,
well, you see Josh Kanata down there in front of Cedric Hunter. Actually, it's going to be Mark Labertone in the 3. Josh Kanata, Noah Steele, Cedric Hunter, Nolan Hicks. Who is that? That's paint scheme I'm unfamiliar with. We'll leave it there. A couple of these cars, just wrong place, wrong time. We'll take a look closer at Thomas Green and Mark Labertone here for this most recent incident. You got Mark Labertone pushing the 57 on the entry to the corner. Probably has to get up out of the gas even just a little bit. It's going to allow Thomas Green to look in the middle here. And then, I mean, I guess there was a lane there, Chris, but the lane was a little bit lower.
You know, I don't know if I can blame that on Thomas Green though. You know, because there was a checkup in front of him, and it's just off the restart, and he wants to, like I said, go. So I'm not sure if I can really blame Thomas there, but I also can't blame Mark there because Mark's doing his job trying to defend the line, but I guess just didn't realize how high Thomas was. But unfortunate break for Mark out of that instant here.
This very well could put us into a position, Chris, where we cross the halfway mark of tonight's race underneath the yellow flag, where a bonus point is awarded here from the Trinity Racing League. It could be one of the first times that we've seen the halfway marker be awarded underneath the yellow flag out here. We'll see if we get the 1 to go signal this time, but Clint Cox in a pretty good position here to grab that bonus point.
Yeah, and it's kind of a buzzkill for the other drivers if they were expecting to try to get that extra point here right after that restart. It's kind of a buzzkill to get that caution right after, especially if they're going to end up crossing the start finish. Yellow.
I think maybe some of these drivers realize that, and Mike Miller and on back, Mike Miller, Scott Richter, Thomas Walter, Nolan Hicks, Josh Kanata, and more, all going to bring these machines down onto pit road for service as we're under caution for the 4th time out here this evening. Clint Cox, Ali Fonseca, Cody Reed, Chris Stamper, and Larry Yingling, the top 5 as they run right now. They elected to stay out on this most recent yellow flag, so perhaps a bonus point in mind for them. Clint Cox came in here tonight just 9 points over the cut line of Larry Yingling. So a bonus point could be what makes the difference between making the playoffs and sitting on the sidelines for the next 5 weeks.
Absolutely, especially with that small points differential. Just the 1 point could be the difference. So it's probably going to end up staying out here and trying to look for that bonus point.
While we're under caution here, let's take one more look at what happens. Let's take a ride on board here with Noah Steele. And kind of just ride on board here with the driver, the number 8 machine. He's down here following Sam Garcia through. Got Mark Labertone up on the outside line. Thomas Green going to try to squeeze in there, and the 42 just going to get sideways right in front of the 8. Do believe Noah's going to be okay here. He was down on pit road for an extended service of over a minute 25 in terms of trying to fix up that Chevy Camaro for Noah Steele.
Yeah, and that was another one of those cases, the wrong place, wrong time, and where the car just kind of spun straight in front of him and he had nowhere to go, so kind of just had to power through it. I mean, a minute and 25 of damage out of that is not too bad. It's going to push you towards the back of the pack, but you're still going to be grouped up with everyone as long as you keep that draft.
Lights are going to go out this time by as the field puts their choose rule into effect. Cody Reed, the first one on the inside line. He's going to be on the front row for this restart. And we are working lap number 50 out here tonight, Chris, and that means a bonus point going to be awarded here by Apex 50, our halfway bonus sponsor. If you're looking for fun and relatable sim racing content, SG_racing has you covered. Check out Sam Garcia's Apex 50 on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. Apex 50, one of the great partners here in the Trinity Racing League that allows us to be here every single Monday night along with Larry Arts Productions and Blazing Fast TV here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. So glad to have all of the partners here at the Trinity Racing League. And do believe a bonus point going to be awarded to Clint Cox as we're going to be completing lap number 50 when we cross the stripe next time by.
Clint Cox is going to be happy with that. Right after we were talking about the small points differential, it's definitely what he was looking for. He's happy he's going to get that extra.
Also, a quick tip of the hat to Sam Garcia. Sam Garcia, of course, the Apex 50 halfway bonus sponsor award here. Also, the creator and the author of our fancy standings graphics out here tonight. We messaged them earlier today and I said, hey, you got a standings graphic? And he said, give me 20 minutes. And he gave us the top 10 here, and then he also gave us the bubble line that we're looking at as well. Again, Sam Garcia, Larry Yingling, Aaron Kralik, Cody Reed, all those drivers right on the line there. We're going to find out who makes the playoffs and who sits on the sidelines as we approach the second half of tonight's race.
And we'll find that out here in just another 50 laps as they're about to hit the loud pedal here, get into the restart zone, and we're gonna see how they go. Green flag drops.
Green flag is out. Everybody hits the loud pedal. They're going to come up through the gearboxes 4 gears strong. The outside lane gonna go to Clint Cox. By the time they get down into turn number 1, Fonseca puts a big old push down onto that 03 on the entry into turn number 1. They've got teammate Chris Stamper not too far behind. He was in danger of going a lap down about 25 laps ago. Now he's at the front of the field fighting for the lead.
They're getting real squirrely up front, and we're going to probably see a little bit of Chris Stamper and Clint Cox here trying to get together and control both lines here. That's going to be the best bet, especially being teammates, to see what they can do.
Chris Stamper makes his way to the front of the field. Ali Fonseca, wrong place, wrong time. Ali Fonseca, he is stuck up on the outside, and he has lost multiple positions out here in that number 24. Now Larry Yingling takes a look to the outside as he tries to take the race lead here as we begin lap number 53 of 100 at the start-finish line. Give it to the 67 for a lap lead. on board with the 67 as we race down the Alabama Gang super stretch once again here as we are past the halfway marker of tonight's race. Larry Yingling at the front of the field looking for his first win of the season, looking to cement his spot into the playoffs. 47, make it 46 laps to go next time by. That is a long way around this Talladega Superspeedway. We will find out who gets the checkered flag out here tonight, but Larry Yingling in a pretty good spot here in the closing laps.
As he is, he's getting a big push from Christopher there. It seems, or I believe that was Christopher there, or that was Thomas Green, but they were definitely helping him out there, coming through the corner. It was definitely Thomas Green. And, they're going to see if they can work together here, get a little bit of momentum on that outside line.
Yeah, and you can see Larry really working the wheel on the in-car shot in there and fighting that wheel left and right, swatting flies, as some may say. But at the front of the field, Larry Yingling, Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter slide back just a little bit. Take a look at the back half of the top 10 where we're 3 wide with Cody Reed on the inside, Jesse Thornock in the middle, and Christopher Norris, who was at the front of the field for the majority of the first half of tonight's race, found his way into a little bit of a skirmish, has now found his way back up into just outside the top 5.
Yeah, probably looking to see if he can get things going on that very top shelf, but doesn't seem to have any more cars other than the 57 up there with him, and it's going to hurt a lot of their momentum unless they can get a lot of side draft, but it's really just looking to get things going.
The entry into turn number 3, everybody's going to run in the middle, at least the leaders are. Larry Yingling leads over Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter. Cedric Hunter won the in-season tournament last week at Dover Motor Speedway over Scott Richter, walked away with $25 from the Trinity Racing League, and sets his sights on a possible championship out here. Comes into the points tonight, 11th in the points, pretty comfortable in the playoff run out here tonight. Came about 30 points advantage over the top 16 as they run into tonight's race at Talladega Superspeedway. And at the front of the field, nothing has changed. It's Larry Yingling, Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter, and now, Chris, we start to approach. We're past halfway. I think there's something that mentally happens when you see 40 laps to go in one of these races.
Yeah, it's like a flip switches to where the aggression starts to come out. You start to play a little bit meaner, not as nice, and try to play more for yourself than for the race.
Most of these cars last on pit road somewhere between lap 45 and 49. We saw some of them come down around lap number 40 right before we had that second yellow flag of tonight's race. So got to imagine that this may be a fuel mileage race for some of these drivers out here.
You know, I was just gonna say that, especially with if they pitted around that 47, 49 mark, it's definitely gonna turn into.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a little bit on the outside window of a fuel mileage race here, but there is an advantage, Chris, to coming down on pit road and taking
the outside wall hard,
a gallon or two less than your competitors. You'll get off pit road a second or two in front of them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the little bits of fuel that go into the calculation definitely adds to the time you can gain off of your competitors off pit road. And that's one of the things that I struggle with so much is calculating fuel. And it's definitely one of the hardest parts about driving, especially if you don't have a crew chief who you're helping or anything like that. It's really just your own brain while you're driving. It's definitely one of the hardest things to do.
Top 4, maybe top 5, a little bit of a breakaway right now, being led still by Larry Yingling up at the front of the field. Christopher Norris, the last one in that train, trying to clear. I want to say that's the 53 of Chris Stamper. It is down on the inside lane down there, but there's teammates lined up with Clint Cox directly behind him in those matching paint schemes in those yellow and red Ford Mustangs. We'll see if these drivers are able to make the inside lane work here in the closing laps of tonight's race, Chris. I mean, we've seen the inside lane at times have the advantage, but it usually was because the outside lane made a mistake.
Yeah, the outside line has definitely been the dominant line here tonight, and it's really, like I've been saying all race, if the inside line can just get formed up and stay close and even out the gaps, that'll give them the best chance at keeping the same momentum as that outside line.
Chris Stamper has been able to pull up to about row number 4 here with Ali Fonseca. We'll see if he's able to do anything just yet. The one driver, though, Chris, that we have seen watch the lanes and move around, not really be committed to any one particular lane, is that driver in second place right now, Thomas Green. Last week's winner at Dover Motor Speedway picked up another win on the season. We've seen that number 3 move around here, and I know he's got to be looking in the rearview mirror and seeing that inside lane creep an inch closer.
Yeah, he's absolutely looking down there, seeing that line, and especially, and if you're going into this race having 2 wins already, you're there's kind of 2 mentalities. You either want to win it to show you could be super dominant, or you kind of just like, all right, I don't really need this one, I'm gonna play it safe, just finish the race, you know. And it kind of seems like we're seeing the former here from Thomas Green, as looks like he's hungry here out in second place.
Well, everybody's pushing Larry Yingling right now as they run, working lap number 61 of tonight's event, as the entire field races down into turn number 1 from Talladega, and the inside lane not able to get anything formed up just yet. They've got Jesse Thornock, the 14, the 3rd car in line on the inside line down there. They're going to lose a couple of rows by the time they exit turn number 2.
Looks like Chris Norris and or sorry, not Chris Norris, Chris Stamper as well as Clint Cox were sitting there trying to move up into that outside line, maybe trying to pinch it a little bit, try to move up, get a little bit of that momentum, but didn't seem successful, and they're back to just running the inside line, trying to gain a little bit of momentum.
On board with the 53 of Chris Stamper, a driver that had lost the draft earlier in tonight's event, caught that lucky yellow flag, and now finds himself in contention to win tonight's race. Chris Stamper comes in here needing a win tonight. Let me see if I can find Chris on the point standings. Chris Stamper comes in here tonight 21st in points, so he cannot mathematically point his way in. He is mathematically locked out on points, but he still has one path to the playoffs, and that is with a win.
And that's definitely what he's going to be looking for tonight. And maybe his teammate Clint Cox will help him, and if it scores him some points to maybe stay above the cut line, or maybe jump into the cut line. But we're definitely going to see a lot of aggression out here from Chris Stamper, trying to get that win and get into the playoffs.
Well, we got just over 35 laps to decide if he can get it done. He's got the help of teammate Clint Cox directly behind him as they race down into turn number 3. They're going to get as close as they've been in a while. They've got Ali Fonseca up on the outside, running a little bit higher here. And I don't hate that, Chris. That allows some air to go to the nose of the 03. That allows some air to go to the nose of the 14 and allow them to stay a little bit closer here for a little bit longer, because you're only going to get, what is it, probably about 2 laps before you start to overheat in these O'Reilly cars?
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3 laps, and especially if you're doing a lot of bump drafting and have a little bit of damage on the nose, it's even shorter than that.
Well, they're getting a little bit closer to the front of the field here, as they have now pulled up side by side with row number 3. That's going to be the 53 and 7 of Cedric Hunter. On the outside, pushes from the 0-3, still coming strong. The outside lane is allowing a little bit of air to breathe right now. Got Ali Fonseca leaning off of the number 7 of Cedric Hunter, as they come across the start-finish line. We're going to begin lap number 65 out here tonight in the Larry Arts Productions 260.
The bottom line seems to have the momentum they wanted here into 1 and 2. Might get a little bit closer to clearing that 4th row like they've been trying to these past few laps. So then once they start clearing row 4, then they'll be able to work for row 3 and then on forward, and they'll just keep working and working for Chris Stamper to get up to the front.
Well, they've been running that middle line a little bit more aggressively than what they have been doing the past couple of laps. You can see them now completely off the yellow line as they work their way through the high banks of 3 and 4 at Talladega underneath the Yellowwood flag. But they're starting to push that outside lane up a little bit and starting to use that middle lane.
Yeah, and you know, it's a good and bad idea, because it's good when it comes to slowing the outside line down, but you know, it gives an opportunity for more aggressive drivers to jump down on the inside below you and put you and your teammate into a bad position, and maybe even the whole pack if everybody's not ready for a 3-wide situation.
It does, but issues on the backstretch. Nolan Hicks going to get caught up in that. Clint Cox going to go around on the backstretch. Yellow flag is out. Josh Kanata barely makes contact with the 0-3. Brandon Gass may have also gotten involved, possibly. Also, Dakota Moniz pace car rolls off a pit road here. All right,
it's a good base car cam.
So I saw, yeah, he was in a little bit of a burnout on the exit of pit road there, wasn't he? Let's take a look here. I think this starts with, we may have to take 1 or 2 or 3 looks at this, try to find where we need to be on this, but I do believe the issue started with Clint Cox on the inside line. Let's jump on up to, where's my, there it is. So Nolan Hicks in the 86 and the 0-3, that's the initial point of contact. We'll grab another look or 2 of that. But Brandon Gass going to go around. Scott Ricker just barely going to get through. Josh Sawyer looks like he's going to get through. Noah Steele goes for a ride. Martin Morales Jr. going to lock up the brakes and avoid any sort of issues. Josh Kanata makes some contact there. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look here. We're going to try to take a look before the field gets on pit road. On board with the 86 of Nolan Hicks, and this is where it's all going to start, Chris.
Yeah, and you see Nolan Hicks is leaking down just a little bit, kind of in that middle line, and I think Clint Cox just thinks he's a little bit higher than he is, and the 86 kind of stays where he is, and unfortunate contact between those two, and that just sends the Alpha Lion car, the number 29 of Brandon Gass, just around.
So some cars facing the wrong direction out here on board with Josh Kanata and the Toyota Supra machine. Josh sees a whole lot of smoke out here, and he's on the brakes. He's trying to slow down, but going from 180 plus miles an hour down to about 0, not an easy task to do, and he's going to make a little bit of contact, a little bit of T-bone contact with the 0-3. Some significant damage on the front end of the 16 there. Field's coming onto pit road, so we got to get over there, but we'll take another look at Josh Kanata in just a moment.
Yeah, you got to wonder how much damage he sustained there, because it's kind of just been not a great race for Josh out here tonight. I feel like it's been very unlucky for him, but got to wonder how he's going to end up making out after that contact there.
Look, I'm desperately looking for my pit road camera there as some of the drivers begin to make their way off. Ali Fonseca rolls off a pit road. Looks like the race lead going to go to Christopher Norris at the exit of pit road. As more drivers come down onto pit road, we'll take a look at some of the drivers involved in this most recent incident. That's going to be Brandon Gass in the 29. Let's take a look, see what he's got on that Chevy Camaro. A couple issues out here tonight for Brandon. In the closing laps, just over 30 laps to go out here for Brandon, and do believe he's going to be able to continue. He may have a little bit of damage. Josh Kanata down there with some significant right front damage.
Yeah, I think Brandon Gass actually got through that pretty relatively clean. I didn't see the back end of the crash, unfortunately, so I didn't get to see if he got into the inside wall, but when it came to the actual spinning and coming down the apron, nobody made contact with him, and he was able to, except for the initial contact, but nobody made contact with him while he was spinning, and he was able to make it through. So you got to wonder if he kind of got a break there.
Well, it could have. We're still under the yellow flag here for the 5th time tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to step away for just a minute or two while these cars pace around underneath the yellow flag. We'll be back for the green. All right, back here just in time for the next restart out here as the field is lined up behind Christopher Norris and Thomas Green. Christopher Norris going to be the control car for this next restart. Thomas Green on the inside of row number 1. Larry Yingling on the outside of row number 2, and Jesse Thornock in the 14. Chris, we're about to get into the restart zone once again. The driver's going to see just 30 laps of racing to go.
Yeah, and this is where the aggression comes out for everybody. It's the back end of the race. Everybody's going to want to be aggressive, get up to the front, and try to hold their position up there. And we see the green flag drop, and Christopher Norris gets a pretty good start here. And we're going to see if he's able to keep clear of the 3 into turn 1.
Well, Christopher Norris and Larry Yingling, that is a familiar duo that we have seen out here this evening at Talladega Superspeedway. He has been able to link up with his friend in the red and yellow Ford Mustang directly behind him. Now down the backstretch, the field's going to fan out 2 and maybe even 3 wide as we come down into turn 3.
Got some tight racing off the restart here. Ali Fonseca's looking to fend off Cedric here, trying to maybe actually work with him instead of fending him off here. Everybody's going to try to single up into that middle line here and get it going like they have been all race and give them all the best chance to fend off that inside line.
Yeah, I think a lot of the leaders just took note of what the 03 and the 53 were doing before we had this most recent yellow flag. A couple of laps ago, I think they noticed that the drivers down on the inside were able to move the outside lane up just a little bit and make the bottom line the middle line and try to make some advances using that aggressive line through the corners, but they were able to make their way up towards the front of the field, but it didn't come without another yellow flag on the evening. But at the front, it is Christopher Norris and Larry Yingling. And now, Chris, I got to think these drivers last pitted on lap number 66. Got to imagine most of these drivers are going to be good on fuel to the finish.
Yeah, if they came down on 66, then yeah, they should be either good or cutting it very close to the end. But it should be relative. It should be good unless they played a fuel strategy in pit lane to try to get out a few spots earlier than their competitors. But if they filled up and are ready to go, they should be good till the end.
Oh, now it's going to be a brawl to the finish. That's how this is shaking out to be. As got a little bit of a split decision here. Got about half the field using the middle line there, about half the field using the inside line. The inside line is led by Jesse Thornock in the number 14 as they race down towards the bottom here. The 14 getting some help from the 51. That's going to be the 51 of Ben Kinney. Again, involved in an incident earlier in tonight's race. Still in contention out here tonight. Outside of playoff contention. But some of these drivers just looking to get a win nonetheless.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the thing here tonight. Like everybody's gonna be super hungry, trying to get up to the front, trying to just get their winning in. And there's I want to say, what, 7 or 8 drivers that need that winning in. So it's gonna be a lot of hunger for those drivers.
A little bit of a bobble there for the driver, the number 51, Ben Kinney, as we see the field starts at 2 and 3 wide up behind these drivers. Now, let's not forget here, Chris, they're good on fuel, but there's always a but. They've got 3 green-white checkers out here tonight if we do need them. We have 3 attempts at overtime, which at a place like Martinsville or Dover or even, say, Texas, some of these smaller tracks, maybe not that big of an issue when it comes to fuel mileage. Here, these drivers would have to go an additional 7.5 miles of racing by the time they get back to green.
Yeah, green-white checkers is something we haven't really talked about here tonight, and that's something that very well could happen, especially because it's Talladega. But if they did fill up at that 66 mark, they probably don't have enough for the green-white checkered, so it might throw a few drivers into a bit of a loop here if we do get that. So it's going to be a very, very interesting end of the race.
Well, some of the drivers may be okay. Some of the drivers like Ben Kinney, Sam Garcia, Thomas Walters, some of the drivers that are kind of just riding in line, using the air that the car in front of them is braking. But it may be a different story as we've got 26, make it 25 laps to go next time by for the drivers that are punching the air. You take a look at Christopher Norris, Larry Yingling, Thomas Green. They've been at the front of the field pretty much all night tonight. A little bit of up and downs here and there, right? But they're the first ones to punch the hole in the air, and that's going to equate to a little bit worse fuel mileage.
Yeah, and if I'm Thomas Green, I'm loving where I'm at right now because third place here, you're going to get all the draft from the 2 cars in front, so you have a little bit of leeway to save a little bit of fuel, and then if they do end up dropping off and needing to save some fuel towards the end, you can have the opportunity to get around them in third place. So it's kind of a really advantageous spot to be in if you're Thomas Green here.
And it also could be sort of similar for a driver like Jesse Thornock, who's leading the inside lane, or Cody Reed, who's leading the outside lane. So just because they're not at the front of the field, they're still the first car in a line of cars, and that's really what matters. Everybody talks about clean air, right, at places like Bristol and Martinsville and whatever. There is no such thing as clean air. You're always in some sort of traffic, and it's kind of the same thing here with maybe running in 15th, but you're still punching the nose in the air.
Yeah, I mean, tracks like you said here, Martinsville, Bristol, they're kind of tracks where there's no opportunity for clean air. So you kind of just got to work with the car and how the car's handling behind, and work with the dirty air and use it to your advantage. And at tracks like Superspeedways, obviously at Talladega, the dirty air is honestly helpful sometimes. So it's a lot of just playing around and keeping as much of it as keeping as much of an advantage as you can in these cars.
You want to say that again?
No, I probably can't. I'm probably gonna mess it up. To be honest, I was gonna attempt, but I was probably gonna mess it up.
This time by 23 and a half laps of racing to go. Christopher Norris, Larry Yingling at the front of the field, as they have been for the majority of tonight's event. Christopher Norris got involved in a little bit of a kerfuffle earlier in tonight's event from the Larry Arts Productions 260, but has made his way back up to the front of the field with some help from his friends in the 67 directly behind him. And now the laps begin to wind down. And Chris, you start to wonder, is the driver behind you a faithful or are they a traitor?
You know, I touched on that earlier in the race too. You know, like if you gotta wonder is if Larry's gonna sit here and push Chris to the end of the race, it's you know, you got the possibility of him jumping down in the last few laps and trying to get a little bit of an advantage for himself. But you know, they've been working together for the entire race, so it'd be kind of like a slap in the face for Christopher Norris if Larry does try to make a move. But at the end of the day, that is just racing. You
didn't get the reference, but it's all right. I'll send it to you later. We got to get.
Yeah, that's awkward.
We got to get you Peacock, but
yeah, that's awkward.
But I mean, if you take a look at Larry's position here, Larry comes in here tonight, maybe not needing a win, but he came in right on the bubble line. He came in tied for 16 for the bubble over Sam Garcia. He can't afford to play nice out here tonight because Sam Garcia is where is Sam out on track right now? Sam Garcia is back in 17th, but still very much in contention of tonight's race. Don't think he has any damage on that 50 Toyota Supra.
Yeah, and at Talladega, like I've said a million times tonight, it's a dice roll. You could be 20th on the track and come back up into the top 5 towards the end of the race and have a shot at winning it. Just off of the chance of everybody making mistakes, you driving the car well, or even a wreck. So there's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of variables. So he still could have a very valid chance at being up front.
And it's not even just your mistakes, right? It's the other drivers around you that if one of those drivers, if one of your competitors makes a mistake out here tonight, it could send both of your nights packing up to the hauler, and you'll be making your way out of Talladega and out to Motegi next week overseas at Japan. But very well, if I'm Sam Garcia, I got to start to think that I want to start moving my way forward. He's still back in 17th out here, but we've seen it's very difficult to get the inside lane to work, and time may start to be running out as we're going to have 20 laps to go this time by.
You know, speaking of getting these cars out to Motegi, we might have to lock into another career one of these days and maybe help them out transporting them. But 20 laps to go here coming by, and it's going to be Christopher Norris here at the front, still with Larry Yingling, and the gap is closing to that inside line. The gap is closing, so you know they're formed up. They're gonna be moving here and trying to get as much momentum as they can.
It is closing. Cody Reed giving the back bumper massage to the 14 of Jesse Thornock as they race down the backstretch here, but the top 3 remain unwavered. That's going to be Thomas Green, Larry Yingling, and Christopher Norris. But for how long? Larry Yingling comes in here tonight, maybe not needing a win in order to get into the playoffs, but it certainly wouldn't hurt his case to get into the playoffs. And oh yeah, trying to get your first win of the season, no better time to do it than right before the start of the playoffs, Chris.
Or here at Talladega, to be honest, because even though it's not as skill based as some of these other tracks to get up front, it's still a win, you know, and it's still a hard fought battle to beat for a win, and any sort of win is a win at the end of the day for the winners, you know.
On board with driver number 38 right now, a familiar sight. He's got that red Ford Mustang directly behind him. See Jesse Thornock down on the inside lane down there as Cody Reed tries to do anything that he possibly can. We'll see if that inside lane runs a similar lane to what we saw, the 03 and the 53 running before, where they tried to get a little bit of aggressive on trying to move that outside lane up. Not going to happen just yet. The 53 going to be 3 wide with the 7 of Cedric Hunter as they come through the start-finish line. They're going to start an outside middle lane there. And now the 53 and the 03 doing exactly what they were doing before, and they're going to move Cedric Hunter out of the way.
Yeah, those two are being pretty aggressive here tonight. They just want to make moves together, and I don't blame them, especially being teammates. It's the best place you can be as we see some trouble starting to kick in, and that's both of the teammates getting caught up in some trouble again. And I wonder if we're going to see a caution, but it seems like a lot of the... Never mind, we're definitely seeing a caution.
We stay green for the time being. Yellow flag not illuminated over the speedway as there was an issue for Cedric Hunter and more. That's allowed a little bit of a breakup here. Top 4 cars have broken away. Thomas Walter has made his way into the top 5 and losing time here. Let's take a look at what happens back here with Cedric Hunter. Cedric Hunter, one of the cars that caught the absolute wrong end of that stick here. Let's back it up to about here and take a look. On the exit of turn number 2, you got the 53 and the 03 just going down into the middle of the lines right there, and then from there everybody gets sideways and moves all around to try to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, most of the drivers got away with it, to be honest, and that's probably why iRacing didn't call it. But, you know, right there, that's a big hit for the 7, and there's still cars coming through the track. So I'm wondering the decision-making process by iRacing here, but I feel like the caution should have came out, and I feel like there's a lot of cases like that recently.
Well, it's something that we talked about at the top of the show out here tonight. It's an opportunity for a place like Talladega, Daytona, maybe not so much Echo Park Speedway, but the cautions here may be a little bit more conservative than the other tracks, and I think we just got a really good example of that as we've got a top 4 breakaway right now. That allows a little bit of separation. Thomas Walter leads the second lane here. He's going to have multiple cars behind him here, and they need to get in line and figure out what they're going to do. There's a little bit of separation in this lane. There's a little bit of disagreement here. They're still 2.5 seconds back, Chris. They're very much still in this, but they need to get it together here this lap.
Cody Reed gives a big... Oh, go ahead.
That time by, they lost about 1/10 of a second to the lead cars last time by. 51.55, 51.65 for both the front and the second pack out there. But the front of the field, they've stepped away by about 2.7 seconds now. They just need to get probably about 1.4 seconds within the race lead, and then they'll start to sniff the draft there a little bit.
Yeah, but you know, it's sometimes a little harder when you have more cars in a single line, say 7, 8 cars. Sometimes it's hard to get the communication on the line to where everybody can get formed up and equally together to where you actually get some speed here. You know, the 4 cars in front might have that like an easier time communicating and getting the line together, and are able to probably open up the gap here a little bit more.
Oh, it absolutely can be more difficult to try to coordinate everybody. You know, the old saying, too many cooks in the kitchen. And sometimes when you have a large group like this, that's the issues you run into. But at the front of the field, it's a 4-car breakaway. Christopher Norris, Larry Yingling, Thomas Green, and Ali Fonseca at the front here. And they're still holding steady at about 2.7 seconds. They're actually losing a little bit of time here on the exit of turn number 4. They're going to need to lose about another. Maybe about another 1.3 seconds to this pack behind them. But they're starting to close this lap. That second group got it together that lap, and they closed about 2/10.
Yeah, they definitely did. You can see the relative ticking down a little bit there, and they seem to have gotten it figured out right after we were talking about it. And maybe getting a little bit of speed moving forward towards that front 4, and might have it come down to a little bit more of a wire to the end of the race.
Well, the thing that they got to be careful about back there is when Thomas Walter begins to sniff the draft of Ali Fonseca or whoever is running in the 4th place position. They are quickly closing. They caught him by about half a second that time, Chris.
Oh yeah, look at that. Only 2 seconds off now. Definitely catching up super fast. As soon as he starts to sniff the draft, like you said, it's gonna be like a freight train for that the whole second pack. They're gonna move up and challenge that front pack very quickly.
They're now within probably close to striking distance, but they're running 2 different lines here, so we'll see if that breaks up the second pack here with Thomas Walter at all. They're running the middle line, whereas this second pack is running the inside lane. They're going to need to slide up and start to move around, and that could cost them some of the time here if they try to do it too soon or if they're not coordinated while doing it. That time by, they held about even. They were about 1.6. They're now about 1.5 at the start-finish line. So another 10th knocked off here at the start-finish line as we have 11 laps to go over the speedway.
You know, I wonder if the front pack running the middle line might be a little bit counterintuitive for them, just because they're not getting as much speed as it is with 7 cars behind you. They might be better off running the bottom line here to save a little bit of time.
Well, I tell you what, I think a big piece of this is probably the driver, the number 25, who has been giving them the beans here the past couple of laps. We heard it on board a couple of times, contact from the front bumper to the rear bumper of the 25 to the 57. And now these guys are within striking distance. They're going to be within half a second of the leaders by the time they get to the start-finish line. We've got ourselves a race once again here with 10 laps to go. And now, if you're one of these leaders, Christopher Norris, Larry Yingling, Thomas Green, Ali Fonseca, what do you do? That's the answer. Ali Fonseca is going to drop down to the bottom shelf of the speedway, as is Thomas Green. That's going to leave just 2 people up at the outside lane, make it 1, as Christopher Norris also drops down to the inside.
You know, I don't really blame Thomas Walter getting into the back end of Ali there. You know, that was a little bit of a late move. Would have thrown me off guard a little bit, and he showed a little bit of his displeasure there to him. But they were able to get it formed up, able to get it together now, and now it's about just seeing if you can capitalize on your position here towards the end of the race.
This time by, give us 9 laps to go from Talladega Superspeedway. Race is being led by Christopher Norris, looking for his first win on the season here in the Trinity Racing League. Thomas Green currently runs second. Ali Fonseca looking to continue the momentum. Has had a couple of podiums recently and a win at Martinsville. Looking to carry the momentum into the playoffs here, which begin next Monday night on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. And business is about to pick up here, Chris.
As it does. We've only got 9 to go here, so we've got a lot of things about to happen here. A lap car coming up. We got to see what ends up happening here. If anyone wants to be a little bit of aggressive, maybe split up the lines here with the lap car, it might be their opportunity.
Cedric Hunter going to get up and out of the way. Says, I don't want any part of this. You guys go figure this race out. I don't want to play a factor in how this one finishes. But Christopher Norris getting some help from Thomas Green here. Now, Thomas Walter was the first one to the back of the 4-car breakaway. Larry Yingling, who was in this 4-car breakaway, has fallen down to 8th, still within the lead pack here, but got some work to do in the closing laps of tonight's event.
Yeah, and he's going to be looking in his rear view, making sure that Sam Garcia isn't catching up, because he's right there in 13th, and if I'm Larry Yingling, I don't want him anywhere near me towards the end of the race. I'm trying to get as far ahead of him as possible. So he's going to be definitely looking in his rear view, making sure that Sam can't make any sort of progress while he does.
Now a little bit of an outside lane starting to be formed up. I want to say that's the. Is that the? So he got the wrong number on the side of his car. Is that Justin Campbell? He may have. Ali Fonseca jumps up, tries to throw a defensive block, and they're going to be 3 wide down the backstretch. Reed on the inside, Thomas Walter in the middle, and Ali Fonseca in a very tough spot up on the outside lane. Got Justin Campbell pushing the 24 of Fonseca through Thomas Walter. No help in the middle. He's going to lose multiple spots by the time they come out turn 4.
Yeah, and this is kind of starting to smell a little bit like disaster with the way these drivers are driving towards the end of the race. You know, everybody's being aggressive, like I was talking about. Everybody wants to win, but, you know, there's a limit. There's a limit. So hopefully it doesn't end up turning into disaster, as we see almost a big block coming out on Cody Reed there from Christopher Norris, but was able to get down or below the track a little bit, avoid a little bit of an incident as we get a little bit of a touch from Ollie, moving Christopher Norris down to the bottom of the track. He's able to save it and get filed up behind Cody Reed.
New race leader Cody Reed with 5.5 laps to go out here in the Larry Arts Production 260. Cody Reed needs a win to get into the playoffs. Ollie Fonseca looking to get another win. Thomas Green looking to go back-to-back. Larry Yingling looking for his first win on the season. And, oh, yeah, Josh Sawyer's up there just outside the top 5 in the closing laps here, Chris.
Josh Sawyer's a name we haven't spoken about much here tonight, but he's moving up the pack. He's been in the outside wall a few times. I've seen it, but he's able to move. He's been able to find his groove and move towards the front of the pack, and it's been a great showing of the back quarter of this race for him. But hopefully he's able to move up a little bit more.
On board with the race leader Cody Reed, as he's getting a push and a shove and a how do you do down the back stretch. He's got help coming from every lane imaginable here with 4.5 laps of racing to go. Christopher Norris lost the race lead to Cody Reed just a lap or two ago, but he's got 2 friends directly behind him in his mirror that's going to be jumping up to the outside in the tri-oval with 4 laps to go.
You know, that would have been a really risky move if he didn't have his friends behind him. Definitely some good communication by those three cars there to get up to the high line to hang the 25 out to dry.
And you see Cody Reed losing spot over spot over spot down to 7th place here after losing the draft here in the closing laps. Still within the lead pack here, but now has work to do in the closing laps here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Larry Yingling in contention out here, as is Josh Sawyer, who's going to be the first one to the inside lane. He's going to jump down to the bottom and try to make some moves on Mark Labertone and Ollie Fonseca here for the battle for 4th.
As he does, Justin Campbell's able to move up a few spots in front of Mark Labertone here, still looking to pass Ollie Fonseca, getting a big help from Cody Reed behind him. Probably not the best places to do it, right in the tri-oval as he turns him up into Mark Labertone.
Oh boy, we got a yellow flag out. We on board with Cody Reed as that happened. Josh Sawyer goes for a spin. That was a bad bump on the front straightaway here from driver number 25. We'll back this up and take another look at this incident here. But I do believe we caught a pretty good look of it coming through the start-finish line. Let's grab a look. On board with driver number 25, the 19 of Josh Sawyer, directly in front of him. And then Josh Sawyer down a little bit further than the 25. And we talked about at the beginning of the night, Chris, you got to be even with the car in front of you when you go to do a bump draft.
Yeah, or else things like that's going to happen, unfortunately. And honestly, not too bad of a break for the 19. I honestly think that the 51 got a little bit of a worse end of that. But the 19 is able to just spin it around and come to a lazy slide and just keep it clean off walls. So maybe we'll see a little bit of damage repair from that front right on the 19 when he comes down pit lane here. But still is definitely in contention here.
All right, so we brought up the topic before, Chris. We brought up the topic before of green, white checkers and overtimes out here. Drivers last pitted on lap number 66. We think they can go about 40 laps on fuel. That brings us to about 106 if you run the math linearly. But that being said, some of these drivers have been punching holes in airs more than others. So you got to wonder about drivers like Christopher Norris or Cody Reed, who have been trying to fight their way through the front of the field.
Yeah, you got to wonder if they're really able to make it. Like even these 2 laps may be a little bit sketchy for them, especially with how much they've been driving through the air. But they should be able to make it after this restart. But if not, it's gonna be a really interesting end to this race.
Take another look at the chase grid coming into tonight's event. Top 16 again going to be moving on to the playoffs out here, and it's a tie for the cut line right now. Sam Garcia, Larry Yingling, Noah Steele not too comfortable, Aaron Kralik within striking distance, but it looks like the entire field going to be staying out here as we're going to go into our first of 3 attempts of overtime here tonight. All right, Chris. Are there any rules in the closing laps of a race at Talladega? How do you manage these next 5, 6, 7 miles of racing?
I mean, to be honest, in my mind, it's just don't turn the guy in front of you. Like I'm gonna make as many moves as I can, especially in a green white jacket. I'm gonna try to make as many moves as I can, try to play it smart, but just don't turn the guy in front of you. Don't turn the guy beside you. Just keep it clean. That's what would be going through my mind, to be honest.
And I do want to clarify one thing before we speak about it. But race control out here tonight, they did specify that there is no out of bounds rule.
Yeah, and that's going to be really interesting coming to the start finish line. You know, you're going to see a lot of people jumping below the start finish on the apron, seeing if they can get a little bit of an advantage. But it's going to be, you know, it really depends on the angle that you hit that apron at, because sometimes it makes you a little slower if you don't hit it at the right angle. It gives you a little bit less of a run through the middle of through off the corner. You get a big run through the middle of the corner, but off the corner you sometimes get a little bit tight off the apron. Kind of slows the car down a little bit. So,
well, I'm thinking more about the backstretch here, Chris. I mean, it's a bold move.
Oh, you're talking about on the backstretch as well. There's no out of bounds rule.
The way they wrote it, they said there is no out of bounds. They did not specify on the front stretch.
Okay, yeah. If there's no out of bounds entirely, that is going to be a wicked ending.
Yellow flag out for what may be the final timeout here tonight. 6 cautions in tonight's event so far, the final race of the regular season of the Trinity Racing League. Next week, we're going to be beginning our playoff run. 5 races to determine a champion. 16 drivers going to become championship eligible after tonight, and it's going to begin at the Motegi Oval overseas in Japan. We're going to go over to Kentucky Speedway on April 27th. Watkins Glen is our next and final road course on May 4th, and then Chris is going to be leading the helm for the penultimate race of the Trinity Racing League season at Phoenix Raceway on May 11th, and then finally a champion to be crowned at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on May 18th.
Yeah, I mean that Phoenix race is going to be a little bit interesting with me leading the charge. Might run out of a few things to say here on broadcast, but I'm going to try my best for you guys out here.
All right, pace car is got the field lined up behind it, and that is our indication that we are going to be 1 lap to green. Actually, it looks like possibly a little bit of an extended yellow here. They did do the choose rule here, so Christopher Norris going to be the control car here as they pace around here 2 by 2. But Chris, this is going to add an additional lap of fuel.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if they have enough in the tanks. You know, they probably do. Thinking about it realistically, they probably do. It's really going to be more of an issue if it comes to another green white checkered here, I feel like, but they as long as they keep it clean and get to the white flag, they're not really gonna have to worry about it.
This time by, we expect to see the lights go out on top. The iRacing.com pace car is it's going to make its way across the start-finish line to conclude regulation here at Talladega Superspeedway. Push us into our first of 3 attempts at a green-white checker overtime finish out here tonight from Talladega. And the lights are extinguished, and that means we are going back green flag racing once again. If you're Christopher Norris, if you're Cody Reed, what do you want from row 2 behind you?
Just want as much help as I can, to be honest, and patience. Wait till the end. Then you make your moves, bro. Just wait till the end. That's really what it is.
I think the top line is going to be pretty well set, because if you look at the top line, you've got Christopher Norris, Thomas Green, and Larry Yingling all lined up nose to tail on the outside lane. The question is going to be the inside lane, because you've got Cody Reed, Thomas Walter, and Justin Campbell all down on the inside lane. Those are 3 drivers that we have not really seen working, not working well together tonight, but just not working together tonight consistently like we've seen those guys up on the top have run.
Yeah, you got to wonder if the inside line is going to be able to form up and you know keep a competitive line towards that outside line, because we've seen the middle line is just so dominant here. So we just got to see if that inside line will stay competitive.
Through 3 and 4 for what may be the final time underneath the yellow flag conditions out here tonight. Pace car leads the field of 24 competitors still running out here this evening. Pace car going to be down. We're going to go into the restart zone for what may be the final restart. Chris, let's get to an overtime finish to conclude the regular season finale.
Here they go, overtime start. They're waiting for the green flag to drop. Here it goes. Christopher Norris has a great start off the line. Seems to be clear of that inside line. He's going to be looking to just get as much of a push from the outside line as possible. He has some friendlies on the outside line that have worked with him through the whole race. So he's just looking to see if anybody doesn't make a move, and it looks like Larry Yingling does. He's the first one to fall out from the back bumper of Christopher Norris, and it's funny because he was the one helping him the most the entire race.
2 laps to go here from Talladega. Larry Yingling leads the inside lane with a challenge for the race lead. He's got Cody Reed directly behind him. A couple of rows back, you got Brandon Gass trying to make something happen. Not going to happen just yet. At the front of the field, it's the 67 and the 38 racing for the win. Out of turn number 4, we're going to see the white flag next time by.
And they're able to keep it clean coming to the white flag, like you said. And you know, we're seeing a big push from Thomas Green to Christopher Norris on the outside, but we're also seeing Ollie trying to be aggressive here on the middle lane, and Christopher Norris drops down and to see if he can defend, and he's going to have to just play the mirror game for this lap.
White flag is out, and the next flag's going to end it. We're racing to the checkered. Issues towards the back of the field. Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter, and more go around. It's a 5-car breakaway on the exit of turn number 2. Norris in the lead over Yingling.
Yeah, that was a huge wreck behind, but yeah, we've got Larry Yingling pushing Christopher Norris again, and you know it's kind of like just what we've seen the entire race, and we're just gonna see if Larry Yingling, you know, just hangs him out to dry here. There's no other term. We're gonna see if Larry looks for it himself.
Where does he make the move? If he makes the move, he's going to take a look to the inside at the start-finish line. Not going to be able to get there. Contact to the left rear quarter panel. They're going to be door-to-door by the time they get to the start-finish line, and it's going to be Larry Yingling at the lead at the checkered flag. Larry Yingling going to get his first win of the season.
What a move for that 67 here. I mean, honestly, like a little bit of a dirty move to get the 38 a little bit loose there on the tri-oval, but I mean, he did what he had to do to get it done, you know, and he worked with him the whole race and still was able to have Christopher finish in a podium position. But that's just a great showing for the 67. Great skill of driving there.
Incredible finish out here tonight at Talladega after 100 laps of racing. Let's relive this last lap of racing out here. Big issues in turn 1. Mark Labertone.
Oh my gosh.
Mark Labertone actually going to get through. More cars going to get up and sideways into the outside wall. And now the race is on for the race win. And here I'm thinking he's probably just trying to put a little bit of distance in between himself and Cody Reed. And they were able to do that, but coming out of here, he took a look to the inside, and I thought this may have been a little bit ill-timed as Christopher Norris tried to close the door, and I thought this was it right here, but not going to be it, and Larry Yingling going to come across the start-finish line as the race winner out here this evening.
And I'm glad we got to see a really close finish here at Talladega tonight. These are the best types of finishes.
Absolutely. Larry Yingling picks up win number 1 of the season and cements his way to the championship 16. Beginning next week at Talladega Superspeedway, going to begin his burnout here and his celebration at Talladega. When we come back, we're going to have your top 3 finishers out here tonight, here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. All right, and we're back here with the podium finishers out here tonight at Talladega. We spoke to them pre-race, and we're going to chat with them post-race as well. Cody, a couple of spots short out here tonight of a playoff run, but you certainly showed your hand out here tonight and almost walked away with the win.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I mean, it's my best finish of the season, which is good. I mean, I'm not too mad. I don't think I would have had too much to show in the playoffs. Not too great at tracks for me, and I don't know. I mean, I've had a pretty bad season overall. I'm looking forward to next season to maybe improve. But I'm happy I finally kind of had a good race start to finish. I mean, you know, some minor things went wrong here and there, but from start to finish, nothing really went wrong. Sucks another Superspeedway win got away from me. I can never win like in Trinity, and then the league before it, ISRC, seem to always come up a little bit short at Superspeedways. But again, I'm like really confident in my ability at these types of tracks. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully Daytona, if that ends up being race 1 again next season, because anything else would be sacrilegious if we did Atlanta again.
Yeah, I remember way back in I guess what month are we in? We're in April now. Probably back in February, we started our 20 race season with a trio of races over at Echo Park Speedway. And if memory serves me correctly, I might be wrong. Didn't you win one of those races back then?
Yeah, I won the Clash.
There you go. That's what I was thinking of. But tonight you come up 2 spots short, a little bit of elbows out racing there with you in the 38 with about 15 laps to go. Is that just kind of way these O'Reilly cars are racing now with the new updates?
I'd say that's just more of how Norris races. I mean, these are definitely a really competitive car at Superspeedways. And you could really kind of throw them around a lot more than really any other car on the service. They're not really like fragile like the 87s or the Gen 4s. And you know, you could really build runs. Like the truck series used to be my favorite car to run at Superspeedways, and I haven't run them in a while, but at least the last time I ran them, they just drove like bricks around here. So you could really throw them around. Norris, however, he's really aggressive, especially on these types of super speedways. You know, when he's up front and everything, and but I get it. I mean, I'm pretty aggressive too, so it's just kind of like two immovable forces coming together at one time. Whenever me and him are racing side by side at these types of tracks.
Well, that's how it's going to shake out after 100+ laps at Talladega out here tonight, Cody. Just 2 spots short, but you come away with a podium. We're going to open up the floor. Anybody you want to say hello to back home watching you take home a podium?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates. They were really trying to help me out there. I didn't really get the chance to work with Ollie at all. He was kind of racing up front for the entire time. I for a little while there, I was back in the pack because I was trying to get the fastest lap point, which I might have still gotten. I'm not sure if somebody took that away from me, but so I didn't really get the chance to work with Ollie, but it was in his mind to work with me. You know, he kept saying he would. I just never had the chance to, but I did work with Justin a little bit during the middle of the race, so I'd like to thank them. I'd like to thank my dad. He roots me on. He's my crew chief. And I'd like to thank you guys for putting on a good show. I'd like to thank the admins for putting this whole thing together. I'd like to thank the viewers at home for watching.
All right, Cody Reed, our 3rd place finisher out here tonight. Going to kick you out of here, let you go debrief with the team, and that's going to bring us to our 2nd place finisher, the 38 of Christopher Norris.
Christopher Norris, how you doing today, man?
We're doing all right. I think we would have been a little bit better if we were, let me see, 4/10 farther ahead. But, you know, P2 is okay. I mean, I was racing with Larry. He helped me out the entire race. What else can I pay him with except for a win?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say you seem to have a pretty good car the entire race, being pretty dominant up there in the front, and Larry was there helping you. And I was gonna say that we've seen a lot of the drivers dominate here, only to have the win snatched in the tri-oval. Did you start to feel any sort of like ownership over the trophy, like or the P1 win whenever you were up there for so long, or did you just feel like you were up there and fighting for it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of went into this race with a motto of like, I'm just gonna do what I do and see what the heck happens, because I knew I was entering 8th on points. I had a mistake last week that put me back, but I knew I was solid on the playoffs. We've been having a great season. Let's go have some fun. So that's what we did. Me and Larry just got linked up, and we were setting sail. I was working with Ollie and Thomas Green and Cody all night. We were doing what we were doing and having a good race. But I'm not mad Larry won it there. I'm a big fan of the dude, so I appreciate everything he did for me there, pushing me throughout the night. So I think he deserved it, and I'm glad he won.
Yeah, and I mean, he kind of answered my next question. I was just going to ask how did it kind of feel to get a little bit of contact there into the tri-oval and kind of lose the run that you had on him into the finish line, just to have it stolen from you in you know, the last quarter mile of the race.
Yeah, I mean, I could have been more aggressive and blocked him more there, like kept my car down to the yellow line. It's my fault for letting it wash up. And I mean, I've known Larry for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and I can't block him like that because I've always had most respect for him. Shoot, he has my name on the car, but I have wrecked my name on the car before, but still, you know, I just can't block him like that, I don't think. And with how we were working, I didn't have the anxiety of winning. It's typically like I'm sure you guys have felt it, but an anxiety of leading and you're coming down to 5 to go, and it's like, you know, well, the win's there, but how can you get there? So I didn't really feel that tonight. So I think I was just kind of content with where I was, and I was content with what happened. I wasn't even really planning on blocking big. I was like, you know what, this is a good finish for me. I want to keep my top 10 streak of being so many top 10s. So I was content with that. So I think that really calmed my nerves and didn't make anything stupid. I know I had some pretty good blocks there early in the race, but we were just having fun. So I think it was a pretty good race all around.
Yeah, and you had a great showing. So congratulations on P2. Is there anyone you want to say thank you to or say hello to?
I gotta shout out the car, cnorrisphoto.com. If you're looking for a photographer for events, portraits, sports, motorsports, anything. If I'm not close to you, you pay for me to travel, I will be there. cnorrisphoto.com, cnorris.07 on Instagram. My work is something you should check out if you like doing it. Also, you guys put on the broadcast, the admins put it on, Josh Kanata and Nick Crawford. We wouldn't be here tonight without them, and also we wouldn't be watching it here without you guys. My teammates tonight, Larry Yingling, Joshua Sawyer, Chris Stitz, Cedric Hunter. Good run with them tonight. Also, huge shout out to Thomas Green, Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca for their teamwork tonight. I appreciate it to them. And also my parents. I ain't watching tonight, but hey, shout out to the parents as well. My uncle, he used to watch my stuff last season. But hey, also Chris, thank you for the follow.
Yeah, man, no problem. I was about to say I just checked out the Instagram, but hey, man, so I'll let you go celebrate with your team. Congrats on that second place. But yeah, it was good talking with you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, and that's going to bring us to our race winner out here tonight. Larry Yingling, you are officially playoff bound. You come in here tonight with a little bit of unknown, tied on the bubble, but you won when it mattered the most. You got your first win of the season tonight at Talladega.
Yeah, that was a interesting race. I didn't realize apparently iRacing changed the plate package for these cars. So lap 1 was my first time in the pack with this, and in the pack it didn't really feel different, but you can definitely tell the top line was more dominant. Bottom line would get towards the front, but I think that required a pretty good pusher, I believe. And I was just definitely lucky. I had some good teammates the whole race and alliances, if you will, with others to really just make it more easier to stay towards the front.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw you, the 3, the 38, working together pretty consistently throughout the entire course of the race. A little bit of ups and downs here and there, you know, peaks and valleys throughout the course of the 100-plus laps that we ran out here. But for the most part, between you and Norris, you guys led over 75% of the race out here tonight, and that's got to be some good teamwork. But it puts you in a weird position coming into the white flag, because you know that you've probably got to win to get into the playoffs, but you've got your friend that you've been working with all night in front of you.
Yeah, well, at that point, I think I knew as long as I don't wreck, I was pretty good on points, I believed. But yeah, it definitely felt weird. I'm not much of a causing my teammate to not win the race, but it was right there, and once we got hooked up on the backstretch on the last lap, I didn't lift at all in the corner. Because I knew if I lifted, Cody and whoever else was behind, they would have caught us. So I figured, well, we're going to find out these cars can take a push in the corner, and it definitely did. Then I kind of did a lazy move to the left. I didn't realize that I shouldn't realize that Norris was going to block. But that almost hooked us, but good thing we did not. And he did a good block. He had it, and I think I just got extremely lucky. I think he clipped the apron or something, and that shot him up to the second lane. And then I had the side draft, and I barely got it.
Yeah, there's no time like the last corner to find out if the cars can take a push in the corners. But yeah, they did an update here a couple of weeks ago and really hurt the draft package. But somehow you were able to get it done there in the closing laps. And I got to be honest with you, Larry, I thought when you did that first look down there about where the entrance to pit road is and Norris through the block, I thought that was game over for you out there tonight. But you had that second run through the tri-oval, and you pick up the checkered flag out here tonight. First win of the season for that Ford Mustang. Larry, anybody you want to say hello to back home watching you take the checkered flag?
Definitely all my teammates this race. Chris Stitz, Joshua Sawyer. He ran pretty good. I think he was around top 5 late in the race. Then he got in an incident. Christopher Norris and Cedric Hunter. And shout out to my sponsors, Port City Cards on Instagram and seednorrisphoto.com for event photography. And shout out to you guys for the broadcast. And I'm not sure what next track is, but we'll see how I do.
We'll be overseas at Motegi next week, so we'll see you there for the playoffs.
All right, I like that track.
All right, Larry, congratulations once again. First-time winner here on the season for the Trinity Racing League for Season 2 of their season here. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and that is the race winner, Larry Yingling, out here tonight picking up the race win when it matters the most in the regular season finale. Podium finishers still sitting down here at the start-finish line. Chris, 100+ laps out here tonight. 104 laps completed for these drivers.
Yeah, 104 laps here at Talladega. You know, it's a long, long run. And sometimes Sometimes it's a little bit boring, but tonight was not one of those nights. So it was a great showing by these drivers.
It absolutely was. A couple of cautions along the way, some bent sheet metal. Let's take a look at where your favorite driver finished out tonight's event from the Larry Arts Productions 260 here from Talladega. Larry Yingling picks up win number 1 of the season and catapults himself to the playoffs out here beginning next week at Motegi overseas. Christopher Norris comes home in second place. Cody Reed comes home with a podium finish out here tonight. Thomas Walter in the 57 comes home in fourth. Chris Stitz out of Hack Racing Team comes home with a top 5. Mike Miller, Josh Stovall come home with a 6th place finish and a 7th place finish respectively. Clint Cox, Scott Rickard, and Martin Morales Jr. is the top 10.
And you got Josh Sawyer in 11th and Ben Kinney in 12th, who we saw have a few issues on track, but still ended up coming in 12th. Sam Garcia in 13th, Stephen Clapp in 14th, Mark Labertone, who also got caught up in some issues, in 15th, Thomas Green, who we saw on his roof on another car at the end of the race, in 16th, Brandon Gass in 17th, Ali Fonseca in 18th, Cedric Hunter in 19th, as well as Justin Campbell in 20th.
21st belongs to Jesse Thornock out here tonight. Had a strong run going late in tonight's race. Wrong place, wrong time for driver number 14. Nolan Hicks in the 86 comes home in 22nd with Chris Stamper in 23rd. Josh Kanata comes home 2 laps down in 24th place with Noah Steele in 25th. And our field of 27 drivers out here tonight rounded out by the 0-1 of Aaron Kralik and Dakota Moniz in 27th. And Chris, that's going to do it. Fans going to begin to make their way out of the stands here at Talladega Superspeedway. And now we've got 16 hopefuls for a championship. And we've got a pretty fun race and a pretty fun run to championship night on May 18th. Got a road course in there. Got some non-conventional ovals in there as well. But we're going to be here every single Monday night. Continuing next week, we'll be overseas at Japan for the Motegi Oval for 150 laps of racing. What do you say, Chris? Same time, same place next Monday?
Same time, same place, except in Japan.
All right, let's do it. We're going to make our way out of here. Thanks so much for tuning in every single Monday night. We'll see you guys next Monday night here from the Trinity Racing League.